What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Goo in the North. Today, we are talking a little bit about the NBA and all that good stuff. We're going to talk about the Super Bowl, and we have made a consensus list of the future of all 14 playoff teams from this year, including the Super Bowl champions, and so we will go through that list piece by piece and argue about whether or not they should be in the position they're in. But before we do all that, gentlemen, how are we doing?
Doing all right. Don't really have anything to add to that.
Bro hasn't done anything exciting in a while, apparently.
No, it's just been a lot of anxiety.
Unideal.
No. I have M&Ms.
I knew you got a snack. The errand was just to go to the gas station for M&Ms.
No.
I'm just going to keep guessing ridiculous shit. That's the entire plan.
It's actually something very mundane, but the reason I had to go is what's ridiculous about it.
I now have real guesses that I'm not going to make on this show or the internet.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think
Probably
I
a
have
safe
kind of a
bet.
clue. I'm doing pretty good. I think it has officially been determined I was cursed. And I am not anymore because darts went pretty good.
Okay.
So that's that. I don't know. That's what I got. I'm still live. There's over 24 hours on the timer. Still, it's tough.
Imagine, well,
Wow.
Oh, don't say that, Miller. You know
that
he
actually
can't
wasn't
do
intentional that
that.
time.
Man, I still. I don't I'm not gonna keep explaining it. It's fun. What am I
Even-
imagining?
I was gonna say, first of all, Steven bringing that up to your mother today, and your mother being like, "It's actually very sad."
Yeah.
Kind of made me feel bad.
Well, cause it is, dude. Like, think about. Apparently, you guys, when you like remember people, can see their faces. I don't remember what my grandmother looked like. Like, that's not a thing I can do. That's really sad.
Oh, that's
Like-
like, dark.
Yeah. Aphantasia's not nice, man. It like fucks with my memory and my ability to do things. It sucks. But it's fine.
The only reason Geek does run the North is he forgets what me and Miller look like every week and has to refresh himself.
Why do you think I try to get in calls with people? Why do you think I try to get everybody in D&D to have their cameras on? It just doesn't
Yeah.
work. It bugs me that Miller won't. He is the only person that I wish, like, truly would turn on his camera. I want to see his
Why?
facial expressions when people do things. It's fun.
Maybe one day. Ooh,
Um,
speaking of facial recognition, I can tell you a funny thing that happened to me.
Please do.
Since I didn't have anything. So, for reference, my best friend since like the 7th grade, she enjoys drinking, which is okay. She's of age. That's all right. She's allowed to drink. And she was with her best friend who does not particularly like me very much, or I thought didn't, but apparently doesn't mind me. The political bullshit from way back when. Yeah. But anyways, the two of them were hanging out drunk, and I got a FaceTime call from my friend. I tried to answer it, and it wouldn't let me fully answer it, but it gave me a preview of her friend on the other end. And it was blurry as fuck, and I didn't recognize her face. And I shit you not, for a split second, I thought that she was hanging out with a girl that ghosted me 2 years ago because she looked almost like the spitting image of her. And that shit scared me, dude. I was like, damn, the day before Valentine's Day, my best friend's calling me and is just like, hey, look, I know someone who ghosted you. Fuck you.
Look who I found. See, I feel
It's
like
like
that's some shit
crazy.
you'd do to me.
Crazy work.
No,
You're a bully that
I'm not
way.
that big. Listen, no,
there would
not
have to be
that
other
big.
people in your town for that to happen. So
Also true. Wyoming would have to exist.
It
Yeah.
does. I'm right
True.
here. Hello.
well, you have no proof you're in Wyoming. You just said you're in Wyoming this whole
Yeah.
time.
You could be like in a
Give us
sound
your
studio
exact
in
address right
California.
now, and we'll believe you.
No.
Okay.
I'm putting
Well, the
my
Geek doesn't
exact
live in
address on
Wyoming.
the internet. You freak.
Geek lives in a remote part of the western part of the United States that is hereby unlabeled.
All right, man. Whatever you say.
Hamburger.
Bro just went and got dinner.
Yeah,
That's it.
This is the errand.
Wait,
this
where
was
did you
the
get a
errand.
hamburger
Yeah.
from?
This was the errand.
7-Eleven.
They
Oh.
were at a gas station. We got them pinned.
Again, it was for something very mundane. It wasn't dinner. It was something else.
It wasn't
You
dinner. I
happened
just
to get-
happened to get dinner while I was
I
out.
did. I was like, if I'm gonna be here,
I
might
would
as well make the
too,
most of it.
probably.
I mean, yeah, that's
yeah,
valid.
if I was at
Yeah.
a 7-Eleven and there was still food out, I'd probably
Yeah.
indulge.
No,
Especially if the reason why I was at 7-Eleven was ridiculous, and I felt like I
Yeah.
needed to come away with something.
exactly.
Yeah.
See, Jake gets it. Jake gets the thought
Yeah.
process.
I would understand
Realistically,
that.
There's no reason I should have been there, but I was because of goofy ass shit I don't want to talk about.
Valid. So real quick, I want to bring up a non-football sport because it's fun.
I'm doing good, by the way. Thanks for asking,
no, I
guys.
wanted to ignore you 2 weeks in a row. I wanted to see how that goes.
Anyway,
How was
the
playing
Christmas tree's
guitar
gone.
before the thing?
How was playing guitar?
Yeah, you looked really depressed while you were doing it. It was a tough watch.
Oh no, I'm just tired.
Hmm.
Yeah, playing the guitar was good.
Because you like stopped and then shook your head and then rubbed your eyes like you'd been crying. I figured it could have just been tired, but it was like, it was one of those, I can't hear anything, so there's two options here. Which one was it?
Yeah, no, I was just really tired and still am.
Valid.
Yeah, but no, playing the guitar was good. I'm getting good. Eventually, I think
Bro's going to play Wonderwall for us.
the Jake Talk Sports Tour is coming, and it's coming fast.
Dude, I've made the joke about how we are just Stay Hot and like, you know, you're Bladen, he's Theo, I'm
I
Spawn
don't
Hour.
want to be Bladen though.
But
I don't
you
like
literally
being
just
pinned
keep
like
leaning
this.
into it. You just keep
Oh.
leaning into it.
Oh,
Being the one of them that is playing an instrument and oddly guitar and talking about going on tour. You're just Bladen. You're just Bladen.
a lot of some people play the guitar. I bet Theo or Matt plays the guitar. We just don't know. I bet.
Miller, you're still muted.
I saw a
bet.
bird today.
There it is. See, he's leaning into it too.
I'm sure he got detained. That's why he's always late. He gets detained on the way home from darts.
Maybe. Could happen.
Anyway,
Wouldn't
the
be the
Christmas
first
tree's
time.
gone. That was a decision that we made when we were
Thank
cleaning
goodness.
our house for the Super Bowl party we had here. It's like, okay, so we have a storage container that we get to use, like a storage unit that we get to use for our apartment, but the apartment complex put their own lock on it and didn't give us a key to it. So the Christmas tree, I wish I could show you. I'd have to carry my laptop all the way out there, but like the Christmas tree is just like sitting in front of the storage container, just like taking up space in the basement of our building because,
Have you contacted them about getting a key?
well, at this point it's just funnier that it's just sitting there.
Fair,
And so,
I guess.
and we figured that no one, unless we live with the Grinch, no one's gonna take the time to steal it. So,
Well, no, they might just so they don't have to pay for the Christmas tree. It's not about being the Grinch. It's just they're gonna brighten their own Christmas with your Christmas tree.
yeah, like if I see one of my neighbors with a giant sack coming down the stairs one day, I'll know what's happening. But you know what else is massive? Low taper fade.
Bro's gonna choke on his hamburger, and I'm kind of rooting for it. Is it
Anyway.
a hamburger or a cheeseburger? Ugh.
Oh,
You're a pro- He's eating it dry, no sauce either. I hate this fucking guy. Like,
There were
genuinely,
no
you're the worst.
cheeseburgers left.
Do you not have like a slice of cheese in your fucking fridge?
I mean, no. As soon as I got home, I sat down, got on Discord.
That's.
Do you not have some
that's a
sauce
committed
near
man.
you?
That's a committed man. Do you think David Miller keeps sauce on his?
That's a pen.
Don't put the ink on there. Don't put the ink on the burger. Don't put the ink on the burger. No, don't do it. No.
No.
Miller football gets ink poisoning live.
Let's go.
Live on Run the North.
Live ink
Crazy
poisoning.
work. Anyway, sports stuff that isn't football before we talk about football.
Oh yeah, you got
What is
basketball things to
that?
say?
I don't know. I think the Brandon Ingram trade is really good. I'm happy that he's a Raptor.
Did he play
Immediately
well
signed
today
an
or something?
extension.
Oh,
No, he's
didn't know
hurt, but immediately signed an extension for 3 years because, which is the one thing that I was worried about with him, is that it would be like a Kawhi situation where we got him for a year and then he'd just be like, all right, I'm going to LA. But no, he
True.
signed an extension 2 days after being traded there. So it's clear he's in it for the long haul. Him and Quickly and RJ Barrett. They managed to retain both Quickly and Barrett, who are their young cornerstone pieces. And Scotty Barnes, obviously, but he was never going anywhere.
Well, he might.
So they didn't have to give up. Well, I think they signed Scotty.
Oh, did
They
they?
did.
I don't know.
Anyway, they have they already have a pretty decent big three, and once Ingram comes back, he'll immediately be the best scorer on the team probably. He's only 27 too, which means that logistically he's probably got another 6 years of being serviceable. I would say, maybe 7. He's not like LeBron longevity wise, so he's not going to go till he's like 40. I don't think,
Right.
but he'll be a Raptor at least until he's 30, which is good. I don't know. Nas Reed screwed me today.
What do you
But-
mean?
Did you
There's
consent?
there's the well, I would. There's this app.
Oh. That's valid.
This is an app that like some people on Twitter made, where like you collect receipts about stuff, like it like yeah, like you make takes and then you see how they age throughout
Okay.
like the time. And so I put in that take in my receipt for the NBA games today that Anthony Edwards would be the highest points and assists player in the Timberwolves and OKC game, but it was Nas Reed.
Yeah, never
But
bet against
34
Nas.
of those. I also didn't. Well, I didn't think Nas Reed was going to play that many minutes. I didn't know that Gobert was hurt.
Yeah.
So
So here's the thing.
I don't pay attention to the
We beat a
Timberwolves.
full strength OKC team without Conley, Randall, or Rudy. All 3 of our actual young guys played really well, and suddenly we have a lot of dudes on Anthony Edwards' timeline. This is great. Rob Dillingham was
Anthony.
sick. Terrence Shannon played great. Even fucking Luka Garza played good in meaningful minutes.
Anthony Edwards' aura was too strong, sadly.
Anthony Edwards, the GOAT.
It's okay.
Hey, man, Miller is much happier if I start calling Anthony Edwards the GOAT than if
Yeah,
I keep
I
calling
don't.
LeBron the GOAT.
Yeah,
Miller can
games
accept
were
an
we-
Anthony Edwards call.
NBA games were weird today. I didn't get a single one of them right in that receipt. Neither did Spawn Hour, who's on that same app. He guessed all of them wrong too.
I saw a fucking
So.
funny ass video though of Shea seeing Jalen Clark check into the game. It was like the LeBron when Kawhi checked into the game thing. It was so funny. Apparently Jalen Clark is the Shea stopper. That's what we've learned.
Maybe.
Yeah.
What
if
else
the
has
secret
happened?
is to just execute Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert? What if that is the path forward?
That reminds me of like those posts where like someone's like, should NBA team A execute 5 of their players to enact a disaster draft so they can take all the good players?
Bulls.
Alex
'cause
Bregman.
you know who they'd keep alive, unfortunately.
I know.
It's true. Yeah.
At least we know who the
Alex-
Timberwolves would pick, and then they'd just go get
Yeah.
Cat back. Be like, we want him.
Alex Bregman is a Boston Red Sox. That happened.
That's all right. I don't
Who?
know. As long as Alex Bregman, he was the Astros third baseman.
Oh,
Baseball.
Bregman. I thought you said Alex Bregman.
lost,
I was
like-
Beetlejuice.
Dude, Alex Bregman's awesome. Never mind.
Alex Brightman's
Never mind that,
great.
but Alex Bregman's
That's
awesome.
why I was. confused.
Um,
I was like, are there 2 Alex Brightmans?
No, I don't know. Anything bad that happens to the Astros makes me happy. So
Yeah, they lost Kyle Tucker in the offseason too. Another one of their best players. The Cubs, I think. So
who
they
did he? Who did he go to?
I think he went to the Cubs.
He did go to the Cubs.
Who are 4th in World Series odds right now, which is hilarious because they're not even close. But
Yeah, well, the Rockies signed
allow me to tell you who the Rockies
Taros.
signed.
Tyro Estrada. He could be all right. We also
How
hired
many-
Charlie Blackman as a special assistant to the general manager. So Chuck Nasty is now in a front office position. This is wonderful.
Yeah, that guy knows a lot about winning, so surely that'll work out.
Hey, man, he's weirdly
Get it?
got like as
'Cause he
many
doesn't?
playoff. No, he's weirdly got like as many playoff appearances as Todd Helton.
Yeah, but how
The
many of
Rockies
those did he
fucking
win?
suck, man. It sucks.
Yeah, they're terrible. They're going to be bad for a long time. They are one of the few teams in baseball where there isn't like a path forward at the current moment.
No. Well,
Like even
okay,
the A's,
there
even
is.
the A's
we
are
have
building
some
something.
good young pieces. The issue is we just keep, I don't know, having
Please,
Chris
they'll be
Bryant.
traded by the deadline.
Oh, well, you're right. No,
They'll be gone by the deadline.
I'm already certain Brenton Doyle is getting traded this season, and it
He's getting
drives me
traded
nuts.
for like
We have our
50-year-old
Cargo
Mike
and
Trout or
Tulo.
something.
We have
Yeah.
our Cargo and Tulo redo again. Like literally, the shortstop and the Gold Glove outfielder, and it's perfect. And we're gonna move off of one of them. Odds say we move
Probably.
off the outfielder this time and keep the infielder.
Yeah.
That's just the odds. So
But like,
Brenton
yeah,
Doyle,
like
you're-
even the A's are building something. Like they had a better year than people thought they would last year. They got a good young core.
trying to think,
Like,
who do we even have?
Do
we have a good
the
player
Royals
on this
are
team.
the Royals are good now. They used to be one of the bad teams. The Pirates are good now. But then there's just the Rockies who
Their
haven't done
bullpen's
anything.
okay. So this year it is projected that Drew Romo will be our starting catcher. He's like 22, and he's been one of our top prospects for a couple years. And then I just really hope we call up both Jordan Beck and Zach Veen. I want Zach Veen on the opening day roster so bad. It is time to see if that guy's any fucking good. It's just time. I
Sure.
hate this Rockies idea that we need to keep prospects in the minor leagues until they're 26. Call them up. Just, we suck. Start calling dudes up. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's stupid. Fine, you want to keep Chris Bryant around, just leave him at DH and move on. Oh, yeah, we signed Kyle Farmer. He was batting exactly the Mendoza line last year, so that's wonderful.
Wait, you signed who?
Kyle Farmer.
Shouldn't you sign Kyle Ballplayer?
I mean, that probably would have been more useful. I can't lie.
I don't know what a farmer is going to do for a baseball team.
Yeah, he'll probably keep the field nice and
I say,
tidy.
you know what?
No,
you know
that
what? The
would
one
be,
nice thing the Rockies have is Coors Field might be the best stadium in baseball. So that's a W.
It's a shame that they house the Rockies
Right?
at Coors
They need a
Field.
real team, man. That
It's a
stadium's so
shame
sick.
that they need to move like the Nuggets to play there just so they.
The
yeah.
Broncos should start playing there.
Ugh. Yucky.
Yucky.
We'll talk
That's
about how
worse,
much this
actually.
podcast hates the Broncos later because we definitely do. But yeah,
this
the
team.
NHL. I don't know. Not much is going on in the NHL. It's Four Nations Week, which means that there's no NHL games. It's just the national teams playing each other. U.S. beat Finland today, though, I believe. So we're moving on.
Hey,
Canada beat the
said the Wild
Swedes in
sucked.
overtime. With Mitch Marner, well, they did at one point.
apparently they don't suck that much anymore. Phrasing.
Oh.
And
And
they're
the
not
Wild have been
great,
Jake-
but
The Wild have been jaking it recently. They've been, I guess.
I don't know. I don't know if I actually care, but I still gotta like go to a hockey game someday.
Yeah, it's
Eh.
no hockey is probably the best sport to watch live in person. I would say.
I don't know. Baseball's weird because I like only believe in watching it live.
Well, I like baseball in person, like for the vibes,
Yeah.
but for pure like watching of the sport, it's
Yeah.
probably
That's fair.
hockey.
I think football's the
been to-
easiest one to watch live.
What do you mean easiest?
Like easiest to see everything.
Uh,
Maybe basketball, but I've never been to a NBA game, so I can't
Right.
speak on that.
I've been to one NBA game in Chicago, and the only thing is the higher up you go, like the ball just disappears.
Right. Like sitting in the shitty seats in football is actually kind of nice. You get a real all 22 angle. You know everything that's going on.
Yeah.
Like I kind of love it.
Honestly, I've sat, and this is bad reference because it was the Commanders Stadium, which I know is like one of the worst stadiums in the league.
Mm-hmm.
But I've sat like in the nosebleeds and I've sat in the 100 seats, and I'm not gonna lie, I think both have like major appeal.
Yeah.
Where did
Just
you
for
sit for
different
the Hail
reasons.
Mary game?
I was in the 100 seats closest
Oh, so
to the
you
end
didn't have the
zone.
you didn't have the all
where it was
22
called.
angle on that one. Oh wait, did you?
No.
So did you get a front row seat to Tyreek Stevenson? Did you know what he was doing in the moment?
No,
He
I
had to be
wasn't
the other
paying
side.
a lick of attention. I was the other side, and
Oh,
I
the other
was,
side. Okay.
and I
Yeah.
wasn't like directly in front of the end zone, but I was on that side. I
You-
was like slightly askew from the 50, so I could still like see it front row, and I
Did
still have
you-
flashbacks.
Did you even know it was caught at the moment?
Oh yeah, no, I had a clear view of the catch.
I was gonna say he was
Okay.
on the catch side, but like because
Yeah, no.
Tyreek was like yapping over on the
Oh,
far
yeah.
side.
The
He was
opposite
this
side.
side,
Yeah,
but he was like still that
Dude,
play
when-
side of the football field.
yeah.
Like that play
When
side of
that-
the 50.
When that catch happened, my dad and I both like on separate occasions said the same thing about the play. And by that I mean like I thought it, and then my dad like literally last week brought it back up to me. That shit went in like slow-mo. Once that ball hit Tyreek's hand, it was like a fucking Hollywood movie when it started rolling and rolling and rolling eventually into Noah Brown's hands, dude.
Bro saw Noah Brown and about cried, I think.
Listen, in 15 years, I'll be able to say, like, I was at that game because that's like a cool thing to, like,
Yeah,
that's
eventually
true.
bring up. But for the next at least decade, it's going to be haunting me.
Fucking hate
Like,
that
they-
Noah Brown guy.
You
That's my
should've-
full bias
You
of
should
saying,
have
like,
gone to the NFL awards because they
Uh-huh.
made Jaden Daniels do a speech about it because it won Play of the Year, and just
Uh-huh.
like been in the crowd being like, just like in the crowd, just like, hey, I was there. Yeah, I was there, Jaden.
I
Fuck
was there,
you.
Jaden. Fuck you.
Fuck you.
It's your
Um,
fault.
You did this to me. You ruined the Bears.
You ruined my life. And then I pull out a weapon and
No.
end my life.
No.
Oh,
All right, man.
okay. Well, at least he didn't say he was going to shoot Jaden. That would be
Yeah,
a whole
no.
different.
No, I
that's-
would never harm Jaden Daniels or any other public figure, just myself.
You can't blame Jaden Daniels for Tyreek Stevenson being a fucking nitwit.
Well, if he did throw a ball that was put in the general vicinity, if he would have underthrown the football, then we wouldn't be in this situation. Now, would we?
Or if he
Therefore,
had just-
Well, I mean,
or if he
technically,
just-
it was short
or
of the end
if he
zone.
had just if
Yeah,
he
but
had
if he
just
would've
been a
underthrown
man and taken the sack.
yeah, if you had
we
just
wouldn't be in
taken the
this situation.
sack like a man and lived to fight another down,
Yeah.
instead of making a reckless, risky play, then we wouldn't be in this boat.
Would we?
No.
Bang. Anyway, I believe that's all the non-football sports stuff that we had on the agenda. So I suppose we'll move on to what was supposed to be a very competitive. Oh, yeah, we can talk about the quick ball. The quick ball's back after a week of being held hostage. Apparently,
It's been saved. I paid the
Um,
ransom.
was the
uh,
ransom? A
I
dollar?
had to play Fortnite with my sister,
Ew.
which I would have just done anyways.
Don't tell
We
her
won,
that.
and she got a TikTok clip out of it.
W.
Yeah.
hope. Anyway, the quick ball. Miller said, no, it wasn't on the show. Miller said before the show that we weren't going to get it. So
I think it's
And I'm
just
going
air.
to be an ass
I
about this. You
guarantee
have to
there is
be
air in
ultra
there.
specific.
Guarantee it. Stand by it.
no, he did that after
Sure.
the Bears Commanders game when he said that it was his
No,
will to
I
live.
just
don't
mean
think he
in
would do it
general.
again.
There's something else in there, but it's
Sure.
like 90% air, so I win. Haha.
No, there's actually less air in here than there normally would be.
Is there a
That's a
sponge?
bigger item.
No.
Is there just
Not a
a
sponge.
bite of your fucking hamburger, you freak?
No, I cleared that. I housed that shit.
M&M's.
Is it Freak
Is
Bob?
it just half M&M's?
You have to be specific.
Is it
Peanut
Freak Bob?
M&M's?
No.
Peanut butter M&Ms.
No.
What other kind of
Pretzel
M&Ms
M&Ms?
are there? Is it all like
Caramel
one
M&Ms,
color of
pretzel
M&Ms?
M&Ms?
Because you're a fucking cunt.
Is it all red M&Ms?
Close, not red.
Is it all,
All
blue
blue?
M&Ms?
All orange.
No.
Is it all orange M&Ms,
Yellow,
M&Ms,
green, purple.
brown
No.
M&Ms,
No,
green M&Ms?
no.
The hell other colors of
I
M&Ms
think
are
that's.
there?
You
We
guys
might.
are thinking too uniform.
Is it? What do you?
Is it a rainbow? Is it a rainbow of
No,
M&Ms?
but
Oh,
you're
is there
headed in the
just
right
one of
direction.
each color of M&M in there?
No, but you guys are headed in the right direction. You just went too far. You need to dial it back a
Is
bit.
it just orange and blue? Is it just Bears M&Ms in the fucking quick bowl?
It's just orange and blue.
It's
Yeah,
Bro
every
said-
blue and orange M&M from the bag I got.
Bro said we weren't gonna get it.
dude, we pegged him like within 15
Yeah,
seconds.
it was just figuring out
I
the
can't
specific.
believe that.
I'm shocked he didn't try to do. Yeah, there's 22 orange ones and 18 blue ones. I really
I
thought
was
that's
not
where that was
counting
going.
that shit.
I really thought that's where that was going, and I was gonna stab you.
You'd be doing me a favor.
Well, no, I wasn't gonna kill you. It was just gonna be painful.
Yeah, but you'd make me go to the doctor or the hospital and like
Couple
They might
days out of
find
your house,
something.
that's all right.
also that. But I'm saying like there might be something wrong with me that they can find. I don't know. My body's got to be anxious about something.
All right. What else we doing? What we talking about?
Anyway, yeah, we had obviously the Super Bowl this past Sunday. That was it was a game for sure. Not a very competitive one, not one that was ever close at any point or had any doubt ever. But the Philadelphia Eagles absolutely whomped the Kansas City Chiefs. 40-20, something like that. I don't have the score pulled up. I think it was like 40-22 or something.
It was 40-22.
But yeah, absolute shit pumping by the Eagles, and every single aspect of their team clicked. Defensive line masterclass. They were just monsters
That
in the
is
defensive
untrue.
line.
They could not run the ball for shit.
Hurts could run the ball just
Hurts
fine.
could. Saquon had 25 carries for 57 yards. The Chiefs sold out to stop Saquon and succeeded. They dared Jalen Hurts to beat them, and he did.
And yeah.
Well,
Which,
that,
I mean, I would say going into the game objectively the right game plan.
yes.
Yeah,
It's just
and
Super Bowl Jalen Hurts.
I don't know,
is just
dude.
different.
It's Jalen Hurts showing up in the big game. This is nothing new. Carmelo Anthony.
True.
2 Super Bowl appearances, 2 master classes, except one of them, Mahomes was actually playing like a good quarterback. So
Yeah.
he didn't get the win in that one.
This
But-
game. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna keep talking about how good the Eagles are, so you can go ahead.
I was gonna focus specifically in on Hurts because it's really interesting to me going back and watching like the All 22, especially after the conversation I had with Patrick earlier this week. Because I remember Geek and I had talked about it on stream. Like, why is it Jalen Hurts is just great in the Super Bowl? And I can't remember the Chiefs roster to a T for the last Super Bowl, but it wasn't super different in the secondary. They had Snead, but I think that was the only other like major difference was they had Snead, and Snead, like for all intents and purposes, did his job. I don't remember AJ Brown having like a massive game. It was more about the other guys showing up, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong.
AJ Brown had 6 for 96 in that. I think this is in that Super Bowl. Devonta had a better
I
game.
stand corrected. Yeah, see, I remembered Smitty having a huge game, but AJ Brown having 6 for 96. Okay. Regardless, the point I'm trying to make with that is the Eagles' offense is at its best when it's like letting Jalen Hurts be a one read and run quarterback. And that's not a slight at Hurts because he is by far and away the best one read and run quarterback in the modern era. He's just fucking incredible at that. He's not the type of guy that's like Mahomes or Herbert or Allen or whoever that's going to sit back and like dice up a defense. He can at times, but that's when you get like the inconsistent Jalen Hurts. That's when you get the like, I know you're better than this, Jalen. What the fuck are we doing type of games. Yeah. But in a game like this, especially where you look at the Chiefs' defensive game plan, which was, as Geek pointed out, sell out against the run, you're leaving all of Philly's wide receivers on an island. And when you have like Jalen Watson out there one-on-one with guys, they're probably going to end up winning their matchup. You look, a great example of this, the big Jahan Dotson catch.
Yeah.
The reason that happened is because Jahan Dotson was one-on-one with Jalen Watson. Watson like stuffed stuffed Dotson at the line of scrimmage, and then dropped his hands, and Dotson just sprinted by him. So Hurts was able to take the snap, read Dotson from the start, and hit him wide open downfield. Again, not a slight at Hurts, but it is really interesting to me that both times Jalen Hurts has gone to the Super Bowl, the Chiefs have looked at him and said, beat us. And he was able to play very well, doing like what would kill most quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Because realistically, if you go up against another defense that isn't completely selling out to play the run, like let's say today, or say this week, that the Chiefs decided, you know what, we're going to use our linebackers to support in coverage. We're going to play a lot of too high. You know, we're really just going to key in on the passing game. Then Hurts probably has a shit game, but Saquon goes for 250. Yeah. So, like, the Chiefs were in an impossible spot, and I know I got a little cocky last week, or not a little cocky, I was confident, I'll say, in saying, like, the Chiefs, they were going to win because they were going to make Hurts beat them, and then Mahomes was going to overcome that because I trust him more in the Super Bowl. But when you're going up against one good corner and then, you know, 7th-round picks, and you have 2 borderline all-pro caliber receivers out there and also another first-round pick, it's, you know, pretty cool what Jalen Hurts is able to do playing in such a simplified role as their quarterback. I thought that was really interesting. That's what the Eagles are like the antithesis of modern football, and I love it so much.
The thing to me that I think is like the big difference maker between the 2 Super Bowls isn't the Eagles' defensive line. Their defensive line was sick last time, too.
Sure.
It is just their secondary.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's so much better now. Like,
Cooper DeJean is not a safety, bro.
The only guy that, like, is still... I guess C.J. Gardner-Johnson was there back then, too. But
him
like,
and Avonte Maddox, dude.
Avonte Maddox, I don't...
Was he?
He was on the team, but he
Yep.
did not, as far as I can see, register a snap in the last Super Bowl.
James Bradbury
really?
is also still on that team.
Bradbury hasn't like been on the active roster since like all year, as far as I remember.
He was definitely there. There's a picture of him with the Lombardi from this year.
Insane. But like the last time, you know, they had, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Darius Slay, James Bradbury, Marcus Epps. Oh, there was Avonte Maddox. I just ignored him. He was the first guy on the list. I just skipped over him. My bad. But like, yeah, Avonte Maddox is there, but like Cooper DeJean, Quinion Mitchell, Darius Slay not having to be the only useful defensive player. And then the Eagles are just insane. I hate them.
Yeah.
Who was the defensive back? This is a very niche play, but who was the defensive back that jumped in front of the Chiefs receiver on that 4th down conversion?
Avonte Maddox.
That was
the only play he made all game. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't catch who that was.
Yeah, because it was Mahomes locked in on his first read. He was locked in on D-Hop from the snap, and Avonte Maddox.
And the ball was there.
I'm more upset at D-Hop than I am Mahomes, or even more proud that like I'm more upset at D-Hop than I am amazed by Maddox making that play. Why did D-Hop see the ball and fall backwards?
Yeah,
go to the ball.
Rough game.
Right.
He had a rough game. He dropped that wide open pass.
Yep.
D-Hop had a really rough week. A really rough game.
He had I mean, I'm not saying they would have won the game, but him dropping that ball when he was wide open over the middle of the field was just any momentum the Chiefs would have had. Just
that was devil magic. Making D-Hop suddenly like not good at anything is devil magic. I stand by this.
So, what blows my mind with the Eagles secondary, since you brought them up, because they really were the difference makers.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the Eagles front 4 were getting home. You know, we've all seen the statistic. They did not blitz one time and pressured Mahomes on over 33% of his dropbacks. Like, that's unreal.
Yeah.
But a big reason for that was because of how the secondary played.
Yeah.
Like, when you look at the guys back there, it amazes me that it wasn't even like some complex schemed game from Fangio. It's not like they were throwing a bunch of different shit at him. They were sitting in cover 4 like 90% of the game. They were sitting in this basic ass like zone drop cover 4, the Fangio bread and butter, and it worked. Mahomes threw the ball over the middle of the field like maybe 3 times all game, and one of those 3 times was the Zach Bond pick, and which is insane because when you're playing against that type of coverage, not attacking the middle of the field where it's most vulnerable is like a crime. So they were literally saying you can have the middle of the field and we're going to rely on our guys to make plays or whatever. And Mahomes was like, I guess, afraid of Zach Bond and Cooper DeJean, which, like, fair, they're incredible football players. But, like, to your point of how big some of the additions have been, especially in the back seven, like, it's just insane to me how well constructed this Eagles defense is and how well the secondary played.
And to me, I know this is going to sound weird. I just think Andy Reid just didn't have it today or Sunday. Just dude, I don't understand. The whole point of getting Xavier Worthy was to finally go back to at least similar to what you had with Tyreek and take deep shots, and they just refuse to do it. And then the minute they do it, it works. Incredible.
Yeah,
I get
also,
the offensive line needs to hold up, but also it doesn't. Mahomes hit the top of your drop and just let it go. Let Worthy go find it. That is what you two are good at. Why did you all season refuse to do that? Like,
well, they view Worthy almost as like a gadget guy as opposed to a true deep threat. And it's weird. Yeah, no, that's my point. It's weird. Like, I get it if you want to mix that together. Because Tyreek Hill got quick throws all the time because you rely on the speed. You run a drag, a slant, a screen, whatever. That works. But you got to mix in the deep shots, and they just didn't. And granted, it worked for them most of the year. But I mean, when you're going up against a defense like this, where these guys are so good at swarming to the ball and so good at, you know, just kind of like playing their spot on the field, that you can't get away with that shit. Because those, you know, those type of plays are meant to beat man coverage, meant to take advantage of guys playing a little lazy or not rallying to the ball. This is like the worst team in the NFL to run that against. And they decided it was still going to be like the method to beat them, and it wasn't. Jake, what were you gonna say?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jake.
Jake was gonna say something. You were gonna say something. You sounded like you were gonna talk, and then you just zoned out.
No.
Oh, okay. My bad. I must have been hearing things. You're sitting there in your fucking mafia boss chair.
True.
Yeah.
I just noticed that shit. That shit goes hard.
The Eagles defense we saw multiple times this year can like really be taken advantage of by really speedy deep shots.
Yeah.
Fuck, Washington beat them that way with Terry McLaurin. And that's not a shot at like Terry McLaurin, but he doesn't have the speed to beat a defense like that. That's not what he does. Like, you could just win by just taking some deep shots. And you are a team that employs Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown. To me, that seems like, especially just immediately in the second half, that should have just been, fuck it, we're sending those two deep. We'll have Juju and D-Hop and Travis Kelce be the more, you know, over the middle type guys, and we'll just see if we can start hitting some plays. And they just refused to until they were down 40-0. Like that. Yeah. That's stupid. I know it wasn't 40-0. It was 34-0, but you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and Xavier Worthy ended up with an insane stat line.
Yeah.
That nobody's ever going to talk about, but
garbage time, man, does wonders.
I was gonna say that
didn't for anybody else.
The play you're talking about, Geek, the big touchdown.
Did for Mahomes, ended up with more passing yards than Hurts did.
Yeah,
yeah. That throw is one of the more insane Mahomes throws, just from like a "fuck you, I have the arm" standpoint.
It's crazy that happened in this meaningless of a moment. He just whipped out one of the best throws we've ever seen in a Super Bowl.
My dad got so pissed on that throw, dude, because he was pushing hard for the Chiefs, because he doesn't like the Eagles. He doesn't like Eagles fans. So, like, the whole time I was enjoying it, because obviously I was rooting for Philly. And that play happened, and he looked at me and he said, where the fuck was that for 3.5 quarters? Just, like, genuinely.
That's what Pranav tweeted, too. He was just like, dude, what the fuck? Like,
yeah.
How is this not what we were doing the whole game?
And again, I get the pressure. I get that, you know, guys were getting home. But like Geek said, it's not like Mahomes needs a bunch of time to let it rip, dude. He's got the arm talent that as soon as he hits the top of his drop, he can just sling it. He doesn't even need like a deep drop to do it.
Well, and like a good way to just beat constant, like, I know they weren't blitzing, but like forcing them to rethink their defense at all by just beating them with deep shots a couple times matters. Right. Like, especially if you do this earlier.
Yeah, like I said, they were sitting in the same fucking coverage all day. The second you make them tweak that a little bit, that's when things start to crack. If you let a team rush 4 and sit in the same coverage the entire game, 90% of offensive coordinators or play callers, that gets them like fired, demoted, you know, sternly talked to. Like, For example, if this was fucking Shane Waldron early in the year with Chicago, this exact thing happened, fired.
Yeah.
Fired easily. Even like fucking Kevin O'Connell. I think if this happened to him, I don't think he gets fired, but I think he's in Quessie's office the next morning like, Kevin, what the fuck?
Right. Like, this is insane. And people just won't talk about it from a coaching standpoint. They'll just go, pressure, Mahomes sucked, receivers bad. It's like, no, there's more to it than that. And Andy Reid's got to shoulder some blame here.
Yeah.
Like,
it wasn't receivers bad. It's a certain number 87 wearer bad that had one of the stinkiest games of his career.
Yeah, he needs to hang it up. It's time.
That was brutal, dude.
He was just standing around most of the game. And then there's like those clips that came out of him doing his little like towards like Jalen Carter, where he gets in their face and pushes them for literally no reason, just to see if he can draw a flag. And CJ Gardner-Johnson, he went up to Gardner-Johnson, started like yapping in his face, and CJ Gardner-Johnson just put his hands behind his back and like looked like off in the distance, just like he completely ignored him.
He's hilarious.
Dude.
Do you remember when he, against the Bears, walked up to, like when he was on the Saints, he walked up to Tariq Cohen and just was going like that to him? Like throughout the whole game, every fucking time they would end up on the same side of the field, he'd walk.
You're short.
Yeah,
you're short. That's crazy.
Fucking Hall of Fame instigator, dude.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Chiefs' offensive line wasn't built for it. Jawan Taylor was god awful. It just maybe the worst tackle performance ever, dude. Holding every play, and when he wasn't, he got just demolished.
He sucked, but what got me more was how bad Joe Thuney was in this game, playing out of position. Like, no disrespect to some of the guys that got him, but like, there's no reason why Jalix Hunt should be blowing him off the ball consistently. That should not happen.
Jalix Hunt's a dog, apparently.
He's a dog, but every time he lines up against an all-pro caliber guard, he should not be blowing him off the ball. Like, that's unreasonable.
Yeah. I think most of that is because Tooney's a guard playing tackle.
Well, no, I understand.
He doesn't have to be. He doesn't have to be quick, like in his traditional role.
Right.
Which is why I understand an edge rusher beating him off the ball.
Right. Well, I'm not talking about beating him off the ball. I'm talking about blowing him up, like driving him back 15 yards
we've
every
also
snap.
Seen Thuney play better at tackle against.
Yeah.
Not a shot at Jalix Hunt, but way better edge rushers.
Right.
Like.
Well, Jalix Hunt was in the game because they were up by 40. I don't think he was going up against Jalix Hunt the whole time.
He was in the game before
Hunt,
that.
like some serious.
Wasn't Joe Thuney on Josh Sweat when Josh Sweat was going nuclear too?
They were flipping back and forth.
I was going to say, literally, if a play was made, it was probably Thuney's guy that got there. I'm not even kidding.
Because the scary thing about Philly's defensive line is they rotate constantly.
Yeah, their interior sucked too.
100% of snaps.
Their interior line got blown up by Milton Williams and Jalen Carter and everybody.
The dude they put in for Thuney, I can't remember his name for the life of me. His last name starts with a C, is a fucking like bona fide scrub. That dude was getting his lunch money fucking.
I remember when he came in.
Down.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the Milton Williams strip sack. I mean, dude, their defensive line just bullied them all game. Yeah. Mahomes, he had no time. It was the Tampa Bay game all over again. Like they rattled him right off the bat, and I don't know if this is the key to beating Mahomes, is just getting pressure with 4, bullying his offensive line, and just rattling him right off the bat. But I guess that's the formula, because that's what's happened.
The key to beating Patrick Mahomes is assembling the Avengers. And that's really fucking scary. You literally, like, the Eagles are the perfect football team for the modern era at the very least. Like, top to bottom in the last decade, we haven't seen.
What position are the Eagles weak at?
Exactly.
Nothing.
Right. Like, the big argument going into this game was quarterback was their weakest position, and Jalen Hurts won Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah.
Like
they are, I mean, they have a top 10 player at, I think, every position except for safety, probably. I think there's an argument for a top 10 guy at every single position except for safety.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All 5 guys on the line, best running back in football, top 10 quarterback, at least 1 top 15 receiver, if not 2.
I would say
top
the
five fullback.
Quinion Mitchell was a top 10 corner this year.
Oh, absolutely. Cooper DeJean was one of the 5 best nickels, if
Jalen
not
Carter
the
was
best.
definitely a top 10
Yeah.
interior lineman. I would say that maybe they had a bunch of really good edge rushers, but I don't know if any of them
They
cracked
don't
the
need
top
just one guy, though.
10. Yeah.
Collectively, they have probably the
They
best edge rusher
definitely,
in
yeah.
football. It's
And
just
Zach Bond was the best off-ball linebacker in football this year,
Oh, yeah.
probably. So yeah, I mean, there's just not a hole, dude. Like there's nothing you can look at it with the Eagles in attack except for Hurts.
I was gonna say it was
supposedly,
Hurts,
then
but he's
they
also been a
tried,
top 10 quarterback
and
for years too. So I don't know.
Hurts hit a level of his run game in this game that he hadn't really shown as of recently. He was very speedy in this game.
I was gonna say he
Yeah,
hasn't needed to.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but like, yeah, but this game it just felt like he was an elite runner in this one, and that helped because the fact that Saquon got shut down. But
Yeah.
And then the Chiefs also just refusing even early in the game to try to run the football never helped.
Yeah, because
them.
they had a little bit of success, if I'm not mistaken.
mean,
like they did.
It's
The
weird.
few times they ran the ball, it wasn't terrible.
They had 7 carries for 24 yards. They averaged more yards per carry. That's leaving out the quarterback. They averaged more yards per carry than the Eagles did.
I
They just
also
didn't
don't
try.
blame them because they were down by 10 for 99% of the game. So
Yeah, but even
running
when
the
you're down by
football
10 early, you can still run
You
the
could run
fucking
the-
football.
yeah, but
Just
I don't
even
know,
once,
the way
they
that-
would go out and
the way
throw
that-
3 incompletions and go to
Yeah.
the
the
side.
way that D line was playing, I'm not sure if they would have had much motion.
I mean, that's all the more reason to run the football, I think, especially when you realize they're not blitzing, their linebackers are automatically dropping.
Yeah, all
like,
you need is
that
one
gives
good
you,
run.
Right.
Mm.
That gives you a,
Yeah,
6,
man.
depending on how you come out, 6, 7 guys on 4 off the bat. That's a great, you feel good about that matchup.
It's so weird to say in a Super Bowl that an Andy Reid team was just outcoached. Like that's it. Like
Outcoached, outplayed, out everything.
yeah, dude, it's just
Well,
weird.
the thing is, like,
out.
I don't know. Like, I think both the coordinators for Philly dominated the coordinators for. I mean, obviously, nothing Spags was doing was working
Right.
because they just got completely blown out of the water.
Well, I don't even think it was that bad. It's just eventually, like, it didn't turn into a super blowout until the defense had been on the field for more than 30 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
when your offense can't get a single first down in the first half, your defense is eventually going to lose. The defense was
Vic
not playing that
Fangio
bad.
is so back, bro. Vic Fangio is so back.
Yeah, and,
This is
and like I
crazy.
said, Vic didn't even have to get creative for this one. That's what blows.
He just has the guys. Yeah.
Right, and then to Geek's point about Spags, like I think, for all intents and purposes, Spags didn't call a terrible game. He did what he set out to do. The problem was he just didn't have the personnel in the secondary to hold up, right? Like he did not have the corners to hold up with Philly's pass game. However, like I said earlier, if he would have decided he was going to sell out for the passing game, then we were talking about how Saquon had 250 and 2 touchdowns and a 14-3 Eagles win in the Super Bowl. Like he was really in a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. He went after the superstar that won Offensive Player of the Year the night before, and I can't be mad at him for that. At the end of the day, like I really think the Chiefs after this game are going to look at their roster and go, Jalen Watson, we love you. You're not gonna work. And they're gonna like try to get a big name corner, whether they draft or, like try to make a move in the first round or, get aggressive on the trade market or something. I don't know if anybody would become available, but I could absolutely see them being in the market for a corner because of what happened in this game. I think that was one of the
with
big
their
things.
history, I would just draft a guy because it's probably gonna
Well,
work out.
whatever
so.
works.
It's
My
just
point is, like, they got to invest real capital in boundary corners because the guys they were trotting out there they were day 3 picks.
Well, but it's one of those things like, I mean, they moved off of their best boundary corner, which I guess worked out because he missed all year being hurt, but maybe he doesn't get hurt in KC. I don't know. But it's tough for the Chiefs because they have no money. No.
Right.
You can't make a trade.
No.
You can't sign somebody. You have to build through the draft, and they have weirdly struggled with that as of late.
I don't think they've been that bad with it. I think their guys just haven't had immediate ROI. I think the long-term projection for a lot of their picks has been more of the vision because they've realized they don't need to draft for need. They need to draft kind of like stash
You might
players.
need to draft for need
Well,
because you have a lot of them and your
now-
team sucks. And
Now that's
They
become,
but
need.
maybe
well,
if
hold on,
over
you
the
look at their
last
team
Ed.
stuff.
well, okay,
They were
when they're
15
about
and 2 and went to the Super Bowl.
you have to look at who all they're about to lose, possibly.
Okay.
Like, this isn't just a right this second. It's a going into next year. You're going to lose a good number of pieces. And then there are some pieces. Joe Thuney is on the wrong side of 30. A lot of your offensive pieces are on the wrong side of 30. And then a lot of guys, like, had bad years. Like, Isaiah Pacheco, even coming back from injury, never
Yeah.
looked even
He's
mediocre.
not that good,
He
bro.
looked awful.
He's not good.
Like,
They're-
it's
I
just
don't know what to
level
say.
after level. Like, they could lose Travis Kelce. They could lose D-Hop. They could lose. Sure,
Right.
you're still rocking with Xavier Worthy, but do you really want to go into next year with Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, and some bums?
Welcome to Kansas City, Tyler Warren. This is the
maybe.
vision.
Like, it's
If
possible.
you get Patrick Mahomes, Tyler
But-
Warren,
but, like,
a-
I just
a-
mean,
a
you
dynamic
have
tight
no
end, it's
money.
over. Over.
Right.
I'm a real tight end.
I just think Trav might retire, Jedi. It's not a.
Yeah.
It's not a.
Either he retires or he recognizes what he is now and leans into it and lets somebody else who's better than him.
He
play a more
exists for the
prominent role.
moment sometimes. Because I
Yeah.
still think, one game you can rely on Trav, but then there's also the thing of, like, this game, you can't have Trav be the only weapon you're hoping works. You have to scheme the rest of the team. But I don't know.
Right.
Now that I'm talking about it more, I almost feel like I ranked the Chiefs too high when we were doing the other thing earlier.
Well, see, but the point I'm making is like with their drafts, you look at the last 3 years. 2022, they knocked it out of the park. You get McDuffie, you get Karlaftis, you get
Yeah.
Brian Cook, you get Leo Chanel. That alone is an home run A+ draft.
Yeah.
Because you've got 4 guys who are like solidified long-term starters on your football
Mhm.
team. And yeah, they missed on Sky Moore. That sucks. But, again, you can't hit them all.
Yeah.
Some of the other guys there, Joshua Williams has been fine. He's made plays for them. Najee Johnson's a solid special teamer. Jalen Watson just started in the Super Bowl and by all accounts is a good depth corner, just shouldn't be one of your starting boundary guys. Pacheco was good for 2 years and then
Yeah.
got hurt and now isn't quite the same player. You look at last year, Felix Anudike-Uzomah was a bit more of a projection pick. Take him at the end of the first round thinking he's somebody that you can develop. We're still only 2 going on 3 years into his career. Maybe year 3 he breaks out. Rashee
Sure.
Rice, for everything that's happened off the field, is a good productive receiver.
Yeah.
Wanya Morris, developmental tackle. Shamari Connor, much like Jalen Watson, is a good depth DB. Getting that in the 4th round's fine. BJ Thompson, definition of a developmental defender. You go to this past year, Kingsley Suamatea, developmental lineman. Hunter Norzad, developmental lineman. Jaden Hicks, developmental safety who actually made some solid plays. You took Xavier Worthy. Jared Wiley in the 4th round is a really solid Kelsey Light, which we know they love to have guys like that. You look at the other white boy tight end, 84, I can't think of his name.
Noah
Very
Gray.
much in that. Yeah, Noah Gray, thank you. Very much in that type of mold, that type of player. CJ Hansen, another developmental offensive lineman coming out of Holy Cross. I get what you're saying.
But
I
that's
definitely
the issue. Going into last year, what did we know their biggest problem was? Their offensive line fucking sucked.
No.
Stop taking only developmental guys. Maybe just take a good one. I don't one
No.
that projects to start in the next 4 years. Not a guy where you have to hope he can sit behind somebody better, except there's nobody better on your roster.
Right.
And it's just the logic. They're trying to draft like the Eagles without the team like the Eagles. You can't just take developmental pieces when there's no one to teach them how to be good.
No, I get that.
But
I still think,
sorry, go ahead.
I get it doesn't help right this second, but obviously the Chiefs are not a team that is just thinking in the moment. And I know that's the point you're kind of making here, but my point was more just, I think it's
Right.
too early to say their last 2 drafts have been bad.
I'm not saying they're
I
bad.
think
It's
these are
just
more
not super useful yet. And when
Yeah,
you're trying
yeah.
to three-peat, which you can tell they cared, they wanted the three-peat, you gotta try a little harder. Because now there's a good chance Trey Smith is gone. So suddenly you have maybe one good offensive lineman. Tooney, if you move him back to guard, is still could be good.
I think they will.
So let's say those two. You have two good offensive linemen surrounded by 3 question marks. If Travis Kelce leaves, you don't have a tight end. Your receiver room's pretty mid. Rashee Rice is probably going to be great. But
yeah,
then there's not much there. Defensively, what if Chris Jones retires? Suddenly you have one good defensive lineman. The one. It's George Karlaftis.
Well, that's not true. That's not true.
Who are we praising?
When Chris
right
Jones
now?
was out, they still had a productive defensive line.
Yeah, and listen, I know they're not big
The most
names, but I can
blitz-heavy
tell
defensive coordinator being able to get pressure is not saying you have a great defensive line.
Okay, sure. But again, I'm not even trying to say that these guys are
Watch the
great,
games,
but
but
Mike Dana, Derek Nottie, Mike Pennell, Charles Amenahu, those are Tershawn Wharton, those are respectable defensive linemen.
And it was huge for
Losing
them
Chris
this
Jones
year.
would suck a lot, but it's not like all of a sudden it's George Karlaftis and the Funky Bunch.
It's George Karlaftis and a
Karlaftis.
bunch of fine NFL players. None of them are difference
Which is
makers.
more than a lot of teams have. I'll tell you right now,
You're just
taking Chris Jones off this defensive line, this would still be a top half of the league defensive line. I'm fully confident.
By far. Yep.
Okay.
Also, and this isn't even really to like argue with you, Geek. I'm just making this point of like, to kind of show what Kansas City was looking at. If we're looking at just this year, specifically with the Sua Matea pick, because I really liked that for them as a developmental offensive tackle. The offensive tackles that went after Sua Matea are all either developmental guys or were asked this year. So it's not like they missed out on much by going that route.
Here's the
In
thing.
fact,
Before the
like
draft, they
Roger
had
Rosengarten.
Okay.
Well, I'm just gonna say Roger Rosengarten going 1 pick before Sua Matea probably fucking pissed them off, because that would have been big for them, and he would have been like a Kansas City lineman through and through.
Yeah.
But anyways, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. But like, okay. I know Mahomes wanted Xavier Worthy. I do.
Uh-huh.
But you know what Xavier Worthy is? You know who they had signed a week before the draft?
Yeah.
Hollywood. Why the fuck did you need Xavier Worthy? Yeah, to develop him for the future. But like, you have way more pressing needs with guys maybe available who could be useful to your football team right now. And then maybe it just bugs me more that you got Xavier Worthy and then refused to use him basically all year. So it was pointless. It was not a waste of a pick, but it's just, there's a lot of logic here that doesn't make a ton of sense when you look at what the team needs now and in the future and what you already had. It's like this year, them going out and, well, we have a center, we have a decent receiver room, and, we've got pretty good safeties, and those being the first 3 things they pick. Well, we can develop them for later. That's stupid. We got to stop acting like just getting fine players is good enough when you are trying to stay competitive. This is why the Eagles are like, we'll talk about this in a second, but like, this is why the Eagles have the most upside of any team in the league, because when they draft, they don't just draft guys that are fine. They hit on all of them. And I know that's partially a developmental thing, but like, it's also, I think Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo can develop players. The issue is you are taking only projects and forcing them into roles that they cannot fill way too fast, and that never works because you don't have a good team around them. Like, I get there's a lot of fine players, but you get my point. We just talked about how incredible this Eagles roster is. The Chiefs aren't that. Like, the Chiefs aren't even one of the best. Like, I wouldn't say they're the best roster in the AFC. The reason we're so hyped still with the Chiefs, the reason we think they can be so good moving forward is Mahomes and Andy Reid. And that's absolutely valid. But we have to, like, be realistic. The team around them is not that good. This isn't like one of the 5 or 10 best rosters in the league. And that's not ideal because they could be doing certain things better through the draft. They don't have the money. They can't just go pick up great players. This isn't like the early Mahomes days where he's on a rookie deal and you can sign everybody you need. That's not going to work anymore. That was my biggest point. I'm not like shitting on the Chiefs saying their team sucks. It's just if you're going to compete with the Eagles, you need a lot more than what you have right now. And I don't know how you get it.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're just in a tough space, or tough place because they had to pay a quarterback.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of just the trend across the league. Period. Is once you pay out that quarterback contract, shit gets hard, and you got to penny pinch. You got to make do where you
have
can
to draft
make do.
perfectly.
Right.
Basically.
Right. And that apparently Howie Roseman's the only GM in the history of the NFL that knows how to draft perfectly. Like, just to make a point to Howie's, like, I think there's a genuine argument that he's the greatest GM in NFL history
100%.
already. Like, there's a real conversation to be had there. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know the list of great GMs
no, but
all
this
time.
Super Bowl roster is so much different than the last one he built and the last one he built. This isn't the Chiefs where you're just rolling back with the same people every time. It's a lot of major changes, both through the draft and through free agency, and just making the most incredible deals. Getting A.J. Brown for what is effectively Treylon Burks is ridiculous. I don't care that it's just one first-round pick. That's still ridiculous. Like, getting Saquon for nothing is insane. Like, dude, the Eagles just do it right. I don't know. It's insane. I don't know who else is gonna. I don't know. The AFC is weird compared to the NFC because of the thing we talked about last week, the superhuman quarterback versus superhuman rosters thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the tough thing with Kansas City is when you have Mahomes taking up $66 million in cap, right? Like that's his cap number. I'm looking it over the cap right now.
Really?
And then you have Chris Jones taking up $34 million. Jawan Taylor taking up 27, Joe Tooney taking up 26, and Travis taking up 19. That's where things get rough, right?
Yeah.
And then you also have some guys that are making more money than you'd expect. Like, who was it? Drew Tranquil is taking up $8.5 million on the salary cap right now, like per year. That, that's where things get weird. That's where things get tough.
Why? That's disgusting.
I don't know. Drew Tranquil making that kind of money. Like he is the definition of a fine linebacker. But when you have, Leo Chanel, you have Nick Bolton. I don't understand the need, but I digress. Like I think Kansas City's roster is a little bit better than you're giving it credit for.
Sure.
I see where you're coming from.
No,
like I don't
again,
inherently
I'm not
disagree.
saying it's a bottom half of the league roster. I'm just saying it's not.
Right, I get it. Because you look like, I will say, it's what's great
Maybe my
about
aggressiveness sounded bad.
Right.
Yeah.
The best way to put what Kansas City's roster is it is a bunch of fine players, right? Like Mike Dana, Derek Nottie, Tershawn Wharton, three guys that I love for the Chiefs defense. They are fine. They are average to slightly above average starters. But the reason why they're so impactful is they play in a Steve Spagnuolo defense alongside Chris Jones. Yes. So, yeah, the Chiefs aren't stacked from top to bottom like the Eagles are with top 10 player here, top 10 player here, top 10 player here, top 10 player here. But the big names they do have are so impactful. Chris Jones, Trent McDuffie, Leo Chanel, Nick Bolton, Travis Kelce, hopefully still, maybe not anymore, George Karlaftis, Patrick Mahomes. These guys are what elevate the roster. And when one of those guys don't have a good game, that's when shit goes downhill. Mahomes not being able to be Mahomes really hurts the rest of the offense. It's already resting on his shoulders.
Yeah.
Kelce not being open on third down, not catching the ball, puts a lot of strain on these other receivers, makes it so they're being covered a lot tighter than they are when Trav is on. And suddenly, these guys like Juju Smith-Schuster, who a lot of other teams probably would be wide receiver 4, maybe 5 on, when he makes these big plays for the Chiefs, he can't make the big plays because suddenly he's getting real attention because no one's afraid of Trav. When the Chiefs aren't running the football, suddenly the entire receiver core is being focused more on because they don't have to worry about Pacheco, Hunt, whoever. It's all about stopping Mahomes by covering his guys as well as possible. Like I'm agreeing with what you're saying. I'm just saying it a little bit differently because I feel like my way is a lot more Chiefs positive and yours is a lot more like fuck the Chiefs, but I
Well,
know that's not what you mean. That's just how it's
fuck
going to
the
come
Chiefs.
off
I'm
to
just
certain
trying
people.
to, I don't know, not trying to be overly positive about them because there's a lot of flaws here.
No, and there absolutely are. When you have a team that is riding on the backs of 4 players,
And I think the
that
scarier
is
part
scary.
is 2 of those stars
Are on
out
the
to
wrong side
go
of 40.
away. Like
Yeah.
within the next 2 years at max.
Right.
Like Trav
Now,
and
I
Chris
will
Jones are
s-
gone. Like
Right.
we need to be looking at the days without them, and that's scary
Now, I
as the
will
roster's
say-
constructed. If they both retire tomorrow, the Chiefs are in a bad spot.
This may be a hot take, and
Okay.
I am willing to get flamed for this. I'm not saying he's going to be as good as the guy he would hypothetically be replacing, because I don't think he will. But I do think George Karlaftis is going to make surprise a lot of people when he's the top dog in Kansas City's defensive line. I think with the way he's been playing as of late, he's about to elevate himself into some serious conversations.
Don't disagree, but part of him being able to be so good is because Chris Jones is the one drawing the double team.
Right,
When he's
but
the one
my
drawing the
point
double
is-
team, how does that go?
Well, no, I'm saying watching him, just like Chris Jones over here, watching him isolated, the things he's starting to put together,
Sure.
the way he's developing, I'm saying I think by the time Chris Jones is gone, he'll be ready to take on that mantle.
Oh, okay, I
like,
gotcha.
To put it in simple terms, I think we've got a Batman and a Nightwing, like to a T, going on here. So when Bruce is ready to hang it up, or about to have a battle for the cowl, I think Karlaftis is going to be ready to step up and find his Damian to step into the Robin role.
I gotta say something real quick about the Drew Tranquil contract.
Okay,
He has a bigger cap hit than Blake Cashman.
that's crazy.
I think that's hilarious.
Yeah, but no, like I absolutely get where you're coming from. And what scares me more is absolutely Trav,
Yeah.
because we just saw what that offense looks like without Travis Kelce. When
Yeah.
Travis Kelce's a non-factor, that's what that offense is going to look like. And that's not a slight at Mahomes. It's just all of the great quarterbacks of all time have had
something.
a guy.
Yep.
I've had at least one. Brady had Gronk. Montana had Rice. Marino had Clayton. I don't know why that's where my brain
Weirdly,
jumped to.
Brady had multiple because it was first it was
Right.
Deion Branch, and then it was Moss,
Right.
and then it was Gronk.
And then Gronk. And even Rodgers, I know Packers fans like to bitch about his lack of receivers, but he had Jordy. He had
Tay.
some different guys, Tay towards the end.
I mean,
in
those
Green
kind
Bay.
of like were the 2 main guys. He had Jordy initially, and then Tay right after, basically, because they played
Yeah.
together for a bit.
Right.
Like they've always had their one guy, no matter what.
Yeah, everyone. I mean, Caleb's got Rome. You know, everyone's gonna have
All
their
right,
guy.
man.
And
Yeah, JJ's got
Kelce-
JJ. Incredible.
yeah, well, once Kelsey is gone, then Mahomes isn't gonna have that guy. Now, I'm not saying maybe Xavier Worthy shocks us all and becomes that
I think
guy.
it'll be Rashee Rice if it's going to be one of them.
True, because Rasheed plays a lot more similarly to Trav, and that's what Mahomes tends to prefer. That's a good point. I like to forget he exists because not
Fair.
a great person. But, you know, realistically, he's probably going to continue to play for the Chiefs for the next decade or so. And,
Yeah.
you know, but yeah, I mean, hey, you know, Mahomes has that ability to elevate guys. If he's able to take a good receiver and make him great, and then that elevates the guys around him, then, you know, so be it. You know, kind of like Brady with Edelman, and to a certain extent, like once he got in the playoffs,
The issue is, even with Edelman, he had a Gronk. He still needs the superstar with him.
Sure.
And I just don't know who that's going to be right now.
Please, Tyler Warren.
Sure.
I want it. I want it to happen. Listen, I will say it unapologetically. I don't hate the Chiefs. I think the NFL is better when the Chiefs are good.
Yeah.
I think it's better. I think it's better because I think the NFL is great when it has somebody that everybody rallies against. It has like a villain, and
the
I always
Eagles
love
should
Brady
be the
because
villain
of that.
because of their fans. Actually,
They're never going to be though, because everyone looks at them as the heroes that took down the giant.
I know, it's awful. Both times.
Yeah.
Fucking hate the Eagles.
Unfortunately, they're the underdogs. Plus, there's so many players on the Eagles that are so likable.
I hate that I like so many players, but hate the Eagles. It bugs me.
How can you call a team with Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, and Jordan Mailata the villains? You got a big fucking Australian dude that has the voice of an angel.
True.
Everyone's favorite running back, and like Mr. fucking I beat the narratives every time they're thrown at me.
I love Jalen Hurts, dude.
And also AJ Brown being everybody's favorite bookworm.
He's everybody's
Like-
favorite diva for sure. He is
This
the
is true.
definition of a diva wide receiver.
He
It
is.
is incredible. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. 90% of receivers are divas, but he is
But
the
I love that he's a
definition of diva.
self-aware diva that's trying to work on himself. Like the whole arc with him with the book is one of the funniest things that has ever happened.
It's so
Because
good.
a diva going, I'm not getting targeted. I must learn how to cope.
Yeah,
That's
dude.
incredible. Odell Beckham Jr. would have played another 15 years as a top 5 receiver if he would have done that.
I don't know about
Because
that.
then he
'cause
would have
just
had
got hurt.
karma on his side.
Okay.
would've had
Anyway, what I got from that conversation is that when it's time to rank the Chiefs on this list, we will say nothing.
Pretty much. We
'Cause
kind of
we
did it.
just said
Same with the
everything.
Eagles,
There's no
I
reason
think.
to have a
Yeah.
conversation about them. Anyway, yeah, that's more than enough on the Super Bowl, I would say. So we as a group consensusly ranked the 14 teams who made the playoffs. And so we're going to go through the list and talk about why we put them where we put them.
We ranked them based on their future outlook, which I suddenly don't like where I put a team, but I do
I
because Mahomes.
ranked them based on how much I want to eat their mascot. But
Oh.
that was just me.
But this is his excuse for having the Packers at number 1.
Yes.
Anyway,
They're still
number
going
one,
to be mid. No.
that happened.
Your mic won't even let you say that, and it's the most incredible thing.
Midkers. The midkers.
I didn't say the
Mid-mid?
Packers.
The midkers.
Ah. All right, Jake.
Fuck you, dude.
Let's start at the least good and go up, right?
At 9, I'm just gonna do random numbers.
No, no,
All right, let's start with number 6.
no. How about we
at
start with 14,
It's
please?
the Chiefs. We can't do that. We already did, technically.
Oh,
At
Incredible.
14, one of the only ones we fully agreed on 2 as a group.
Uh-huh.
On 2 of them. 14 was one of them, and at 14 we have the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah,
Yeah.
they don't have a quarterback.
the O line's
that's
not that good,
pretty
and
much
kind
the
of
only
old.
reason why they're last. They have an old offensive line that's also bad. They have not that great of a secondary.
Yeah, they don't. They have what, 2 pieces on
Their
defense, and one of
offensive
them's
coordinator
38.
is Arthur Smith. They have one rosterable receiver.
I don't,
Yeah,
dude.
I
How does
don't know,
Mike
man.
Tomlin keep getting this team to the fucking playoffs, dude?
They were in the playoffs, so good for them. But like, the future is bleak in Pittsburgh, I would say.
That's the devil magic everyone needs to
They
focus
don't. They
on.
don't have a
Why?
QB down there, unless the plan is Mr. Fields for the future, which just doesn't
They-
seem like that would be a.
If their future plan
a
at
smart
quarterback is
idea.
the guy that they benched for the husk of Russell Wilson, may God have mercy on the state of Pennsylvania.
What's
Not
fucked
just
up
the
is they'll
city of
still go 10 and
Pittsburgh.
7.
The state. Maybe.
Dude, he went 10 and 6 with Duck Hodges. I promise he's getting 10 and 7 out of fucking Justin Fields. I promise.
No.
No.
Duck
Yeah,
has
there's
Flora.
just the general consensus
is
here.
Duck.
Obviously, we all put them at 14 because
Alright.
they're not good. They don't have a good quarterback. They got mollywopped in the playoffs this year. They were very clearly the worst team to make the playoffs this year, and also have the weakest future out of any of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, look, I will say when I was ranking, specifically the biggest thing for me is the quarterback spot. Like,
Yeah.
where are you at with your quarterback? Pittsburgh is a complete unknown. They are the only team in the playoffs, so we have no clue who their quarterback is going to be as soon as next year. Right?
Yeah.
And I will say, like, to play devil's advocate, there are some pieces on this team that you can get excited about. Obviously, TJ Watt's one of the best defensive players in football. Micah Fitzpatrick is still a very respectable safety. Cam Hayward had a huge year. Someone like Keanu Benton is someone I'm a big fan of. Peyton Wilson's an exciting young linebacker. Joey Porter Jr. is a good young corner.
Yeah.
Zach Frazier rocked this year as a rookie. George Pickens is really good at one specific thing, and the Steelers tend to find a way to help him do that one specific thing. But like, Najee's going to be up for a contract here very soon. You're not giving him a second deal. Let's not let's not lie to ourselves here. The receiver room outside of Pickens is worse than Kansas City's, and they don't have a Patrick Mahomes to elevate them. The rest of their offensive line, I mean, Broderick Jones and Troy Fotanu, they're still, I think, question marks.
Broderick
I think there could be a
sucked.
world.
He got benched.
Right.
Year
I don't
two,
know.
getting
I'm still-
benched as a tackle. I kind of.
I don't know.
I don't
I'm
know.
still
I'm
still betting
quicker
on the
than you
trade.
to realize that. Then Evan Neal still has a chance to be okay.
Right. Listen, I'm a little delusional. 'Cause
You're an
I
optimist.
like
I
Broderick
understand.
coming out. Right. Like, there's still part of me that thinks, like, listen, I'll put it this way. Mekhi Becton.
I'll put it this way. Broderick Jones might be good if he goes not to Pittsburgh. Cool. So he's not a piece to be excited about for Pittsburgh.
I'll be right either way. That's all I care about.
But
Fuck
but
the Steelers.
But it
I
still
want
makes
to
me
Yeah,
right that he's
yeah.
not a piece for the Steelers.
Okay, well, still, I'm just trying to say, like, there's still a world where he turns out. I'm trying to
Sure.
be the
Yeah.
optimist to the
I know.
pessimists, right?
I know.
There's still a world where he turns out. Troy Fotanu, I mean, he's listed as injured right now and
Yeah.
not a starter, so I'm going to assume he wasn't a huge part of Pittsburgh's offense this year. I admittedly did not pay much attention to specifically Troy Fotanu.
Yeah.
But there's Nick Herbig looked really, really good this year. I'd be remiss if I didn't bring him up. But yeah, when you don't know what's happening at quarterback and you've got a lot of holes across
It's
the
over.
board, Geek mentioned Cam Hayward is like 75 at this point.
How old's TJ
TJ
Watt?
TJ Watt's like 30.
Also, TJ Watt,
is
I
TJ 30
stand
on the
by
nose.
is, yeah. I still just, I am not the biggest TJ Watt fan. He's the weirdest high impact player ever because 90% of the time he's no impact. He just
Yeah.
kind of stands there. And then suddenly he
shows-
forces a fumble. It's like,
Yeah, it's like he does nothing most of the game, and then it's like 3rd and 8, down by 3, and all of a sudden he's Jesus Christ
Yeah.
reincarnated. And it's like, all right, dude, we get this bullshit fucking showing up when the game stands tall gimmick has
Right.
to stop.
current TJ Watt is the Travis Kelce of edge rushers.
yes.
He just only
Yeah.
cares when it like truly deep down
Who
matters.
cares when the lights are brightest and that's
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, obviously the Steelers are 14 because again the quarterback situation.
Yeah.
And that was one of the only ones we've agreed on. This next one we almost fully agreed on.
Yeah.
Number 13 consensus, the Los Angeles Rams.
Who
Which
did you
hurts.
put at 13?
Me?
Yeah. Because you're the only one who didn't agree.
Denver.
Ah, gotcha.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, we'll
I get it.
unpack that. I don't.
Oh,
We'll get there.
you with that reaction makes me. It's really
you
funny
didn't put
because
them that much higher.
I know, but still, like,
also because of the way consensus worked out, you're not going to be too happy where the Broncos shook out. on this
Okay.
list.
so listen, the Rams are interesting because they have young talent in a lot of really important places.
But
But
Stafford's
where it
old and
matters
probably not
most-
staying.
Stafford's old, and he's in every trade
not
rumor
staying.
ever.
They've already
And also-
decided they're trading Cooper Cup. Stafford
Yeah,
could
they're
be
also
gone.
trading Cooper
Now
Kupp.
they're a question.
I think Stafford is
Right.
gone.
Yeah.
I think Stafford's going to the Giants. They're making
Yeah.
Weird.
They're making
Like,
a
if
heavy
that
push
happens, then that's scary.
for him.
That's
heavy
push
why.
for him. I don't know. That's been the conversation the past
Yeah,
couple
for
days.
some reason, it's been Stafford
They're-
to the
they're
Giants.
The
really-
Steelers
they're
and the
really high
Raiders
on
make
him.
way more sense to me, but okay.
The consensus in New York is that
Giants
they're
are
going to get
desperate.
Matthew Stafford and then draft Travis Hunter. That's
Yeah.
that's the vision. Who also decided today that he's going to the combine strictly as a cornerback and will not participate in any of the wide receiver drills.
Weird.
So
Interesting.
he might just be a corner in the NFL. That's-
Lame.
He's only shown himself off as a corner. Maybe he'll definitely get put in as a receiver in some special packages, but
Yeah.
worth noting for maybe Giants fans. But yeah, the Rams, like Tutu Atwell's a free agent. Demarcus Robinson is a free agent.
Already?
Yeah,
I mean, it's
And
been
the-
5 years.
and the rumor is that Tutu is not coming back. Does not want to. Doesn't feel like he's getting a prominent role.
So the
Demarcus
receiver
Robinson,
room
I
is
would assume,
Puka.
does come back. Demarcus Robinson was
Whittington.
solid this year. Jordan Whittington could be good, and yeah, they have a good. Obviously, the one reason the Rams might be higher on this list, and maybe not, is just because
Sean McVay.
Well, that and also their defensive line is rocks.
He is not okay. He's feeling old in this moment.
Their defensive line rocks.
Tutu Atwell has
Um,
been in the NFL for over 4 years.
Yeah.
4 years. Yeah, because he doesn't get a 5th-year option because he's not a first rounder. So
Oh my god,
they can't decide to pick that up.
dude.
It's not that crazy. That
That just hit
2020
me like a ton
was
of
a long time
bricks.
ago,
it's
man. Yeah.
because Tutu didn't get used at all for 3 years.
Yeah.
So this is the
And
first
not
time he's
only
ever been
that-
used. So it's like
That was also like the first draft class that I paid attention to beyond the first round. Like, let me rephrase that. I knew players before the draft, before the first round, or after the first round. Like before that, I'd learn about who the Bears drafted, and I'd roll with that, and then I'd learn people as the season went on. Starting in 2020, I was like actually not full on scouting, but like looking into guys, being like, okay, I want the Bears to draft this guy here and this guy here. I remember I liked Tutu.
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah,
And
some of their
Johnson.
key guys are free agents.
And Higbee's old.
but they have a young,
Yeah.
Their
up and
defense is
coming
like
defensive line.
Yeah.
They need some help in the secondary. Akilla Witherspoon is also a free agent, so they got to figure out what they're doing with Akilla. Yeah, overall, I just think the quarterback situation is a big part of the reason why they're sitting at
Yeah.
13.
yeah. Their left tackle is
getting-
about to be a free agent. Also,
Yeah.
like they're losing some pieces.
But again, I think this is what's just going to end up happening is we're going to shit on them, and then I'm going to be but hey,
Yes.
things are still okay. Like I think that's how these are going to go. But looking at like the Rams roster right now, Jake already mentioned the defensive line: Kobe Turner, Byron Young, Braden Fisk, Jared Verse, all of these like very, very talented players they've gotten in the last 2 draft classes. Cam Kitchens looked great this year. They've got good young offensive linemen with Steve Avila and Bo Limmer. Kevin Dotson's looked great. Puka. Kyron Williams is one of the 5-10 best running backs in the league. Blake Corum's still only going to be a second-year player. Like, when you factor all of that in, and then you also add in like how well they've drafted the last 2 years, and just kind of expect like, okay, this front office knows what they're doing. Hopefully they continue to do it. Then, there's still plenty of optimism for the Rams, but you lose that quarterback, that's like the end all be
I
all.
was gonna say, in this front office, the only quarterback they have tried was not that good. So I don't I don't have a ton of faith in there. A bit like this isn't a team where I'm just like, yeah, they'll just get the quarterback and it's fine. Because we've seen McVay be bad with not great quarterbacks. Like McVay isn't like McVay is one of the best offensive coaches in the league. I'm not saying that, but he's not. There's kind of levels to that where even Kyle Shanahan doesn't make these awful quarterbacks really sick. His offense gets bad when they have to run a Nick Mullins. Like, so McVay without a real quarterback is kind of scary. He doesn't need a Mahomes, but he needs, talent there. And that's just, I don't know. I don't know what their plan is moving forward. Though I guess if Stafford's gone, I could see them being a team that's interested in Darnold. Cheaper than Stafford, younger than Stafford, all of the talent. And you've seen him succeed in this offense. Like,
oh, yeah, dude, if they trade Stafford, that's where Darnold's going.
I'm 100% positive.
Yeah. And honestly, if they pull that off,
suddenly it's a different conversation, especially if they can figure out the offensive line for him. Because,
because I'm going to be honest, they're only left tackle away, which I know is like the most important piece.
Yeah.
But if they can figure out a left tackle, then their offensive line looks damn good.
Yeah.
Especially when you consider like they were playing with a banged up offensive line for most of the year, and they were still like,
it's like
not
if you can
terrible.
keep Darnold upright, he can win you games.
Yeah.
Like that was the issue. Couldn't keep him upright. And you can't trust him to keep himself upright either. He's not that good at moving the pocket. He's not.
The problem is if they sign Sam Darnold, he'll spontaneously combust because he'll have to play that Rams D line in practice every week, and he'll be like, "Oh my God, it's happening
iron
again."
sharpens iron.
Maybe
There will never be a defensive line that can stop Sam Darnold.
You know what? That is possible.
The Eagles probably
Imagine.
could. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
That would be his kryptonite. It would be one team. It
Yeah.
would be Philly. So the
the
so in
green
other words,
team.
the Rams would have a guaranteed NFC title game appearance as long as Sam Darnold's their quarterback. But they'd have to
You know what would
lose in the NFC
be
title game
awful?
every year.
For me, I just don't want
If he went to the Rams and won a Super Bowl.
not won a Super Bowl. I don't care about that. But like beat us in
should.
like the NFC Championship game to get
and
to that
then won the
Super Bowl. That would
Yeah.
hurt my soul.
I want this
Um,
to happen. Football gods, get the script ready.
Get this.
But number 12 on our consensus list. Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos.
Crazy
number
to me.
12 on this list. That's how
Where
the
did you rank
consensus
them?
worked out.
I mean, it was
13.
a little bit higher, but I'm saying like I think
You ranked them 10th.
yeah,
Stop
Yeah,
acting
and
like this is
Yeah.
a huge drop.
I'm gonna tell you. But I'm saying I think at least one of the two teams I had them over, they are like by far and away better than long term. And then the other team, I know it's more of a hot take, but I will die on that hill because I trust their quarterback more than that other quarterback.
Sure.
And that's the thing with me. Denver has a defense that is still young, was one of the best in football this year, and can only get better. They're not losing their defensive coordinator. They're not going to lose any major defensive pieces.
DJ Jones is a pretty major piece to them, but
Okay, DJ Jones is the only one.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he would love to stick around in Denver. So you still have Surtain, you still have all of the other guys across the defensive line. That's what matters to me. And then offensively, I love Bo Nix. I know I am the resident Bo Nix defender. I understand I like him more than you guys do. But I think Bo's great. I think he works great in the offense that is being ran by Sean Payton. I like where their receiver room projects. I think you can add a piece or two there, but like Cortland Sutton is your main guy. Marvin Mims looked, or not Marvin Mims.
Yeah.
Denzel Mims is the one that failed. Sorry, I get them confused. Marvin, because I saw today the fucking Battlehawks signed Denzel Mims. So I saw a post about it. So like Denzel Mims is fresh on my mind. I apologize, but regardless, Marvin Mims looked incredible this year. The run game needs improvement, but you know, today's NFL, we've kind of seen that doesn't take a lot. And you might need a piece or two on the offensive line, but like Quinn Miners is one of the best guards in football pretty easily.
he's their only real offensive lineman.
Well, I mean, it worked pretty well for him, only having one real offensive lineman then.
Garrett Bowles can be, but in any time he's ever had to block in a significant way, he's the worst player of all time. It's insane.
Yeah. So they
Mike
have
McGlinchey sucks. Wattenberg sucks. Ben Powers was awful all year. Like,
Okay, so but with one good offensive lineman, they made the playoffs and were a very respectable and surprising AFC team, which tells me that they don't need their offensive line to be stellar. They just need it to be good enough. And I think they can get to that by adding a piece or two.
like
For sure. Yeah.
their tight end room is atrocious. They don't have a NFL running back on their roster. Javonte and Jaleel were awful. Like, atrocious. And then defensively, I mean, they have their defensive line isn't that good. Like, Zach Allen's great. John Franklin Myers is fine. And then if they lose DJ Jones, that's huge. Their
You're forgetting
linebackers,
about
they're
Nick
losing
Benito,
both
John
starters.
Cooper, and Jonah Ellis.
Those are not technically defensive linemen,
Dude, edge rushers are defensive linemen.
but in a 3-4 only kind of, because they drop into coverage.
Sometimes,
They're
but not a whole lot.
Uh,
They rush the passer more than anything, dude.
sure, but
That's
whatever.
what matters to me.
Okay.
So yeah, those three in particular aren't like
So their interior
world
defensive
beaters.
line is not that good. And if
I mean,
they
it was
lose
pretty
DJ
good this
Jones,
year.
okay.
Zach Allen is awesome, dude.
Yep, I already said that.
Right, I know. My point is, Zach Allen, not to the same degree, but has that like Chris Jones effect where he's going to make the guys around him better, especially when the two edge rushers are also really good. So when you have 3 of the 5 guys that are rushing the quarterback are really good, the other 2 guys can just be like average to even below average NFL starters, and they're still going to get work done.
Mm-hmm.
Like here, let me pull up the numbers. Let me pull up the advanced analytics. Because Denver's defense this year was incredible for a reason. And if DJ Jones is the only guy they stand to potentially lose...
Actually, no, they're losing Cody Barton, who was one of their starting inside linebackers. I don't know about Alex Singleton. Both of their safeties are not very good. And then they're losing Jaquan McMillan, who is their starting nickel. And then Riley Moss is actually just bad. So they don't have that many good pieces. Their edge rushers are sick. Zach Allen's sick. Obviously, they have the depoy, but like...
Right, but we say they're losing. They're not inherently losing. These guys could all very easily come back. There's no guarantee they're going to leave. Why would they want to... Like, a lot of these guys, I don't think they're going to lose most of them.
Maybe not.
And I understand that comes down to, like, a projection thing, and which, I mean, is kind of the whole point of what we're doing.
Right, and I will always err on the side of projecting that they leave, because most of the time they do.
I don't see why they would, though.
We say that every year, and then somebody offers them real money, and they go to the team with money.
Right.
The Broncos don't have that much money.
Gibbs, there's no guarantee that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Either way.
You are too optimistic. It, like, physically hurts me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, the only thing that could ever possibly happen is the good thing. It's like, all right, man.
Again, the whole point of this is the dichotomy of you are going to be negative, I'm going to be positive.
But today,
because
it's
realistically, but there are two possible outcomes realistically for all of the teams we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
The bad one and the good one. You talk about the bad one, I talk about the good one. That way everyone leaves here feeling represented.
True. Jake will kind of sit in the middle, steer us in a direction.
Right.
Try not
the
to
only
fall
reason
asleep.
I'm making that clear is because I can tell you're getting frustrated. My goal here isn't like to frustrate you or piss you off. My goal here is just to say that's possible, but also what if
the only thing that actually pissed me off was just repeating all of the words I had just said, but like trying to make it different. Well, Zach Allen's great. It's like, yeah, I just said that.
Right, but you didn't let me finish.
But it was just like, dude.
Sorry.
Also, I do want to say
saying you didn't let me finish reminds me of the Whopper video that we made when he was talking about Zeke. No, sorry. Yeah.
No, you're good.
I thought you were gonna say it reminded you of Jake in it because you don't get to finish off then.
What the fuck? I don't know, man.
But I just want to say real quick, just to make myself feel better.
Mm-hmm.
You can say what you want about that Broncos interior defensive line, but they were the third best run defense in terms of efficiency. And that doesn't happen with a bad interior defensive line.
Well, I mean, it kind of does. They didn't play that many good running backs.
They also
there
had
isn't
the best,
one in their division.
They also had the best efficiency in terms of pass defense as well. And I know that's a lot of... Sure, but everything has to work in unison.
Sure.
So, like, my point with the defensive line is, those two guys, they're not, like, killers. But it's another thing, like Derek Nottie or Tershawn Wharton, where they do what they need to do, and that's all they need to do.
Sure.
Like, I think the thing is and this isn't a you thing, this is just everybody in general. I think people forget that sometimes it's okay for NFL players to just be role players.
No,
to just be good at one thing or okay at another thing. Because at the end of the day, sometimes that's all those guys need to do, and they positively impact their defense. That's the glue that holds the big guys together. They're the ones who slip through when Zach Allen's getting triple teamed, or Nick Benito's getting double teamed,
my big
or whatever
thing
may happen.
is just when thinking about their defense, I just keep remembering what happened every time they faced a real football team. Basically, Ravens putting up 41. Somehow letting the Browns put up 30 plus.
That was a weird one.
The Chargers putting up 34. The Bengals putting up 30 pretty easily. Getting blown out by the Bills in the playoffs. It's just they have good pieces, but not good enough pieces. Pat Surtain and Nick Benito and Zach Allen cannot win you these games. And I know a lot of that also has to fall on the offense. You gotta score. like this matters. You got to be an offense, which in all of those games, the offense, except for the Browns one, that was just a shootout for some reason. Uh, but like,
You realize too, though, like I'm not saying the not the Browns, the Broncos are going to be fine if they just run it back with this exact roster.
right.
My point is more, I think they have the foundations of a defense that if they continue to improve, they can continue to build. Because I do agree, you need to upgrade its safety. You could stand, I mean, obviously you might have to make a move at linebacker. You could probably stand to add another piece or two on the defensive line. But if you can do all that and everything else stays relatively the same, you just keep building on what you have. You keep utilizing, because listen, when we're looking at these teams like long-term projection, the point isn't to look at every single position. It's to look at the core. And when you have a core of Zach Allen, Pat Surtain, and those two edge rushers, I think that's a really good core to have defensively.
Sure.
I think that's a really solid, like, they are the foundation in which you build everything else onto.
Sure.
Same thing with, like, the Rams. You know, we look at the four guys in their front, and we get really excited because those four guys are, three of those four guys are going to be superstars. One of those guys is really, really good at one specific thing. And then you build off of that. You build out the linebackers. You build out the secondary. Like, the point is more the core, and then you build the pieces around it. And that's what I'm trying to argue. That's what I'm looking at. That's why I'm not saying, like,
probably speed up
I know,
a little.
we need to move on.
Let's save it for teams we actually care about. This wasn't one of them. Let's cook.
Well,
what's next, Jake?
Our number 11 team is Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, they kind of old, and they don't have a superstar coach. And
who knows what Chris Godwin's going to look like off this injury. Todd Bowles might not be that good of a coach. Baker Mayfield, I don't know. Turn the ball over at the highest rate in the league with one of the best offensive line. Third OC in 3 years. Won't have an offensive genius for the first time in like the past probably ever. He's always had an offensive genius, so
not true. He had oh God, who was the first Browns coach? 0-16 man.
Well, I guess that maybe Freddie Kitchens.
No,
I don't know.
Well, but Freddie Kitchens was there with Kevin Stefanski.
I don't know.
So like
Hugh Jackson.
Yeah. But yeah, the Bucks are, I don't know.
Yeah.
Miller,
I don't know.
Be happy about their core. Cook. I don't know. Say something kind so we can move on.
I just want to say real quick, like, this is why I thought having the Bucks over the Broncos is insane. Because the Bucks don't have like a super strong core because their guys are all old.
Sure.
But there are still pieces to get very excited about. Baker looks like he's the franchise quarterback. Antoine Winfield is one of, if not the best safety in football. Bucky Irving was the best rookie running back by a wide margin this year. Maybe one of the 10 best running backs in the league this year.
Tristan Wirfs
Jalen
is
McMillan
sick.
had his moments. Tristan Wirfs is obviously one of the best tackles in football. Luke Godecke looked great this year. Graham Barton was a very good rookie. Kalijah Cansey is someone I absolutely love. I don't know, man. Cade Otton is really solid. I like Cade Otton.
I don't know. Did I have the Bucks over the Broncos too? I don't remember.
I think they are kind of like the inverse of Denver, where I'm very confident in Denver's defense and I'm very confident in Tampa's offense. Yeah. But I do think what Jake pointed out of them not having, like, to our knowledge at the very least, maybe they did find another super genius and we just haven't seen him yet. Because who was it they ended up hiring?
No clue. Oh, no. Didn't they hire the Vikings guy? Were they the team that hired the Vikings guy?
Hold on.
Who did they hire?
No, it's their pass game coordinator.
Josh
But
Grizzard.
his name is so fucking funny.
Grizzard.
Josh Grizzard is crazy. No, the Vikings guy went to Jacksonville. Yeah. But no, maybe Josh Grizzard is a fucking wizard. Maybe we got Grizzard the Wizard over here in Tampa, and if we do, then words will be consumed. But until we know that for sure, it's hard to look at them with a pretty, I don't want to say lame duck head coach, but I also don't think that would be an incorrect description of Todd Bowles.
No.
I just think this is a lot more about you need to wait and see what happens with the coaching, but they do have some talent. And I think if the next wave of guys in Tampa can kind of come up and fill the shoes of the Levante Davids and Vita Veas of the world and the Mike Evanses of the world, then, This can be a team with a very nice future, but they are a little bit more, I think, projection based about how everything shakes out, as opposed to looking at a really strong core that is going to be around for the next 5+ years and going, yeah, they just got to build around these guys. This is just more, okay, they have a couple core pieces and they have a lot of the like secondary, supports for the pillars, but the pillars themselves are looking a little rusted or looking a little faded and might need a new coat of paint.
Yep. Our consensus number 10 team, and I think this is insane. The Detroit Lions.
It's all about the quarterback.
It's quarterback, and then it's a lot of the other pieces.
Quarterback, though. It can't just be about the quarterback.
Okay,
but it
so
has
it can't
to be
just be about the quarterback. The quarterback, the offensive and defensive coordinator, both just left. 2 of which were the best at their job in the league this past year. At least arguably on the defensive side of the ball. I don't think anyone's arguing that Ben Johnson was the best OC. He won Assistant Coach of the Year for a reason. And then you look at the defense. What happened the first time that or when they got in the playoffs and went up against like a real offense that was exciting, that had a lot of firepower? They got fucking destroyed because that front 7 outside of Aiden Hutchinson wasn't nearly as good as a lot of people let themselves get tricked into thinking it was.
Yeah.
Now, they have some pieces defensively. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like Brian Branch isn't one of the better safeties in the league. Kirby Joseph was just an all-pro. Terrion Arnold's an exciting sophomore player. Aiden Hutchinson at full strength is one of the better defensive ends in the league. Ali McNeil's very good. I get that those guys are all there. Jack Campbell is also very, very good this year. But a lot of those guys kind of played above what they were. And we saw that once they got to the playoffs. Their first playoff game. Was it the first playoff game or the second playoff game? It was the first playoff game, right? First playoff game, under the bright lights. Jared Goff put up a stinker in spite of some really good offensive work around him. And then the defense got shredded by a guy who is a rookie. Getting shredded by a rookie in the playoffs when you're supposed to have one of the better defenses of the league. And this isn't a shot at Jaden Daniels, who we will talk about and praise here in a few minutes. When you get shredded by a rookie in the playoffs, that's tough. That's not good. Because you're, especially a team like the Lions, who was, if I'm not mistaken, in the NFC title game last year, you're supposed to act like you fucking been there before.
Yeah.
And they did not look like they were there before.
And there's the thing, like, Goff's not that good. They're losing some key pieces. Taylor Decker is quite old, so we don't know where that's going to be. Zeitler is probably gone. I don't know if you're going to pay him. You're hoping Christian Mahogany can step in and be sick, but there's no guarantee with a 4th-round pick offensive guard and how good they can be. The receiver room outside of Amon-Ra is still not that good, and Tim Patrick is an upcoming free agent. Sam Laporta did not look that good this year. Your running backs are still sick. But then defensively, like you said, DJ Reader is getting old. They don't have another real edge rusher on this team other than Aiden Hutchinson. The linebackers all kind of sucked this year, except for Alex Anzalone. Like, Campbell was fine until Anzalone got hurt, and then he sucked. He wasn't not that good without the better linebacker on the field, like, which isn't just a shot at him. That happens with a lot of guys when there is a better linebacker. And then they're gonna lose Carlton Davis also, probably, who's their Terrion Arnold's exciting, but right now Carlton Davis is their best corner. Like, the Lions are not really set up to keep it going. Yeah, go, Jake.
Part of the reason why I put them higher, I'm projecting a certain edge rusher to end up there, and I think he will.
Who?
I think there's a certain man wearing 95 in Cleveland right now who will.
Why would you manifest that? Why would you put
Brad
that in the universe for us, man?
I'm not manifesting it. I am telling you what's going to happen.
Who has he traded for that makes you think this is going to happen? What, he traded for Goff?
Because it's their biggest need, and he's available, and they have the assets and the money.
Okay.
There are so many teams with the assets.
I'll sing a different tune.
The entire NFC North has the assets, technically.
Yeah.
Like, what? I don't want to project the
entire
Lions
division has the assets, and 3 of the 4 teams in the division could really fucking use them.
Yeah. I think
Including the
actually all
Lions.
4 could really use him because he would just be more of an interior guy from Minnesota, and that would be really nice.
Yeah, but I don't think you guys would want to spend the assets
Oh
on that. I
God,
think
no.
you'd be more
No, I
concerned
don't
with
actually
wanting
think
to build
we
out
want
other
him.
things.
But the
Yeah, no.
Lions would, and they
Yeah.
will.
Okay.
Sadly.
Maybe, but
Well, again, if that happens, then we'll sing a different tune.
Yeah.
And another thing too, like to go back to the optimistic side of things.
Yeah.
This could all not matter if their new coordinators step up and are great.
true.
But that's a huge question mark.
Because
When
we
you
saw
lose-
Philly do this same thing 2 years ago, and it went so bad.
Right. Right. Exactly.
And
I don't
The
think
Lions
Dan
don't have a-
Campbell's dumb enough to hire guys like Brian Johnson and Matt Patricia to run his. Matt
the
Patricia's off the
issue is
market.
you're
They're
also
safe.
not in a division where you can afford to take a step back. You take a step back, you miss the
Right.
playoffs. That's it.
Right.
Like, done. Like, the Packers
I'm
are
so sure.
really good. The Vikings are really good. The Bears should be really good. I know we said that last year, but
Sorry.
there's a reason I added should. But I mean, I guess you can go negative for all of the teams. Ben Johnson sucks. JJ McCarthy sucks. And Jordan Love just plays like he did at the end of the year instead of the end of the year last year. And the Lions have the
Just
easiest
wait for
division in the world.
Toyotathon, man. Just wait for
So-
Toyotathon.
Just real quick.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this is like vindictive of what he's going to be.
Yeah.
But I just looked up Lions' new offensive coordinator, John Morton, been around since 1998 in a bunch of different positions. The only time he was ever an offensive coordinator in the NFL was in 2017. He served 1 year for the Jets. The Jets went 5-11 that year, and their offense was not great.
Mm.
Less than 300 points.
That was
scored.
rookie year Sam Darnold, wasn't it?
No, it was Josh McCown.
Oh, yeah, I'm
Wait,
so
Who
sure
didn't
he was
start the
supposed to.
full year.
I'm so
Bryce
sure.
Petty was their other starter.
I'm so sure we can blame that on the offensive coordinator.
I'm
Yes.
just no. Okay,
Josh
can I fucking
McCown.
finish?
He literally
Can I
said we
finish?
can't blame this
Yeah.
all on him, but
I'm not
just
saying this is
ignore it.
vindictive of him. My point is he's had one opportunity and it wasn't great. So in my mind, clean slate, total question mark.
Yeah.
We don't know what he is.
Yeah.
He's a total projection. Now, if he turns out to be great, then that's great. And, you know, the Lions are going to remain one of the best teams in the NFL. If what we saw in 2017 with the Jets is what Morton is, woof.
Or even if they're just average.
Realistically-
Remember, we have seen Jared Goff be a below average quarterback with a guy who is a better offensive coach than Ben Johnson. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Sean McVay was incredible, and Goff sucked with Sean McVay. We cannot act like
Yeah.
the Lions have this incredible future with what is the worst, or at least the worst known NFC quarterback of these major teams. Like, the Rams, we
Yeah.
don't know. If they keep Stafford, they're by far better. And then the unknowns are your, JJ McCarthy's and your even Caleb Williams's to a degree. Where do they actually end up? But like, the Lions don't have this young guy who's going to develop into something or could develop. We know what Jared Goff is. We know the peak. We know the valley. And it's
Right.
not that good.
Yeah, it also doesn't help. I know Geek brought it up a little bit, but I just wanted to double check. 3 of the 5 starting offensive linemen for the Lions are on the wrong side of 30.
Uh-huh.
And
Frank
even then,
Ragnow's
Frank
had
Ragnow's
multiple neck surgeries.
multiple major injuries, and by the time the season starts, he will be 29.
Yeah.
So he's not far off.
The Lions'
And I'm not
biggest
saying
strength
that
could become a weakness really quick.
right. So the Lions are only low because it's a very much a wait and see type of team.
Yep.
As opposed to the rest of these guys, it's pretty easy to see where they're probably going to be within the next 5 years.
Yes.
With the Lions, it all comes down to these coordinators. That is going to be massive. The coordinators, how you fill out the defense, and how you make up for some of the older offensive linemen. And also, the inconsistencies of Jared Goff are the inconsistencies of Jared Goff.
Yes.
Because again, we've seen an offense be schemed up fantastically around him, but that doesn't stop him from shitting the bed. Just look
Yes.
at that Commanders game. That Commanders game is all the evidence I need to go, listen, I can't trust Jared Goff.
Yep.
And it's not because it's the only time, it's just the best example.
I was going to say it's just
Because
the most
that offense-
recent.
Right. That offense put up, 350 yards in a divisional round playoff game, and Jared Goff turned the ball over 3 times? And that's a big reason why they lost.
And backup came in and looked better for the one drive he had.
Yeah.
I gotta keep saying it. I can victory lap that as much as I want to. God damn it.
But anyways, what's the next team?
What's number
here?
9?
Packers.
It's 'cause
Jake.
Please.
Yeah. Since we've
I
done a
don't
lot
know.
of yapping.
I don't know. They're too low. It's whatever
Why?
though. We-
Like,
We're not writing back. It's fine. I don't know, dude. It's just I feel like they're a much better team than people think they are. If I'm being honest, they for all intents and purposes played the Eagles a lot closer than most teams played the Eagles on the road as the 7th seed. They had them held to 10 points at halftime, kept themselves in the game for most of it. Didn't really get out of reach until like the late second half. So I think that I don't know. I think they're a better team than people think they are. And I think you look at the coach, Matt LaFleur's the top 5 head coach in the NFL. You look at Jordan Love, he's a borderline at times in his career has been a borderline top 10 quarterback in the NFL. The quarterback thing is not really a question with them, I don't think. I think Love just needs to kind of be consistent, and that'll kind of be that'll just kind of be what's going on with them. So I don't know. I just feel like there's no reason to be like worse than I don't know who else has them on this list. Let's see. I don't know, dude. Yeah, like I don't know. I feel like they're too low.
he
I feel
doesn't
like
have an argument over putting them over the other teams. They're just too low.
Oh, I can definitely put them over the Vikings. Yeah, the Vikings quarterback situation is a big old question mark. Nobody knows what's going on with them.
I mean,
So if we're doing this, by quarterbacks, Packers are ahead of the Vikings.
except Jordan Love is also a question mark. We've seen great and
So-
we've seen not great.
not as much of a question mark as JJ McCarthy is.
Can I give the third party perspective on that argument?
Sure.
I'm sure it's third party and not just objectively biased. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, if I want to be objectively biased, I'd say both of you are going 0-15-2 next year, and you suck
Right.
dick and should die.
Right.
But if we're talking objectively, I think both teams have a question mark at quarterback. Not that Jordan Love himself is a question mark.
One of us
but
is a bigger
every
question
week-
mark.
What? Yeah, the Vikings are definitely
yes.
a bigger one, but let me finish. Jordan Love's a question mark because we don't know what version of Jordan Love we're going to get week in and week out. Until Jordan Love starts to be fully consistent, then he's going to be a question mark in my eyes. That is concerning. When Jordan Love is on, he's borderline top 5. When he's on, there are not many quarterbacks in this league better than him. But
Listen,
when he's
man,
off, things are scary.
He's just going through the
JJ
He's just
McCarthy.
going through the Packers quarterback routine, man. This is what they
True,
do.
he is. He
Sure.
is. And once he hits his Rodgers stride, then we can have
He
a different
will.
conversation, but we're not there yet.
But
We're
also,
still in Favre territory.
here's the other thing, though, that I think is the key. We've been talking about teams' pillars, right? The Packers'
and that's what I was
major
gonna get
pillars
at.
are what?
Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs, Kenny Clark, Rashawn
30?
Gary. I would say is still a major pillar of the defense. Xavier McKinney, Jair Alexander,
Jair's
if
gone.
he's on the team next year. I would say Devontae White is
Jair
getting to be in
on the team
that
next year,
territory.
I think.
He is. Devontae White's definitely one of the younger pillars. Edgerrin Cooper.
Okay. Let's be realistic here for a second. All right. Pillars, you're only gonna have like 3 or 4 of them on either side of the ball. So you look at the Packers roster right now. There are a lot of talents. Like I love edge. I'm an edger through and through. Edgerrin Cooper was one of my favorite linebackers in the draft last year. I'm so happy he looked great for the Packers. I think it's a little too early to say he's a bona fide pillar of the team. You give me another season like he just had, bona fide. Easy. One of the 10 best off-ball linebackers in the league. Someone like Kenny Clark, on the wrong side of 30, or about to be 30, excuse me. He'll be 30 at the start of the season. He's actually a year or 2 younger than I thought.
Yeah, me too.
Jair Alexander,
still
like
really
you said,
good.
he might be a pillar on another team next year. Xavier McKinney's great. And then you said offensively, Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs, they're both great.
And then you said Rashawn Gary.
Justin
I don't know
Jenkins.
if I want to consider a guy a pillar who hasn't been.
Okay,
A
I'm done
breakout
listening to you
guy.
talk about Rashawn Gary. Have been for a
Okay.
long time.
So the point is, the Packers have pillars, and I think there's a lot of like growth to be had with some of their guys because the
Yes.
Packers are still one of the youngest teams in football.
Mhm.
We know this. It's been memed on for
Which is
like
why
2
the
or 3
future is
years.
bright, which is why
Right.
I would put them higher on a future
Okay.
perspective.
I think their future is bright. However, the thing I'm looking at right now when we're looking at these pillars is I want to see who's proven right this second. Go to the Vikings roster. Justin Jefferson, best wide receiver in the league. Give me one moment. I got to pull up the depth chart because my brain is
Christian
not working.
Darrisaw, top 5 left tackle in the league.
Right. So, hold on, Mr. Unbiased here.
Okay.
Justin Jefferson, Christian Darrisaw, Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson. You can argue each of those 4 guys are offensive pillars. You also add in guys like Speedy Naylor, who looked really good this year, Brian O'Neill, who's a very good player. You have a J.J. McCarthy. I know we said he's a question mark, but if we want to project, I think J.J. McCarthy can be very good. Not saying he's a pillar, but he's someone that you can get excited about. Defensively, Ivan Pace, I would say he's a pillar player. You look at a guy like Andrew Van Ginkel, Blake Cashman, Jonathan Grenard. Those 3 together, maybe they're not like the biggest names in the world, but what they do for this defense with a defensive coordinator that's probably going to be here for a long time, that's something you can get really excited about.
And then you have the young pieces behind them, like guys who didn't get to play much this year, Dallas Turner and Mackay. And like, I'm not shitting on the Packers. It's just there's a little bit more proof in the pudding with the guys who are the Vikings pillars.
I think they are very, very close.
Sure.
I think they are 2 teams that are very comparable.
The reason the Packers get to be so high is Jordan Love. Because we've seen the high end of Jordan Love. Like, if the Packers were a team going, to me, if the Packers were the team going with a QB question mark, they'd be far lower.
Yeah. See, the thing is with the Packers and the Vikings, they're 2 sides of the same coin. Where the Packers have the quarterback, the Vikings have like the overall pillars. But both one has the other waiting in the wings.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of like, as soon as next year, we can be having those conversations. But we need to give it like another year.
Yeah. Yep.
And that isn't a like an anti-Packers thing or pro-Vikings thing.
Right. Who ended up at number 8, Jake?
Commanders.
Really?
I think they should be lower.
I disagree.
The pillars argument here, they have a okay offensive lineman. They have a wide receiver on the roster. They have Jaden Daniels. And then defensively, they're bringing back like 3 dudes. Their entire defense is leaving. Like, they are the team out of this group, other than if the Rams lose Stafford or just the Steelers finally lose the devil magic. They are the team I think that could crash the hardest next year. I don't love their roster moving forward.
So I'm going to tell you outright, I hope you're right. But, like, as the Commanders hater here, just because of that one game.
Sure.
I hope you're right. But we look at their free agents starting next year, right? It's really not as bad as you'd think. Because a lot of the big, like the notable contracts they gave out in free agency, like 2026 is where it starts to get a little concerning. But at that point, you'd hope, a draft class under their belt, some of the young guys develop. Maybe it's not the end of the world if some of these other guys leave. But like you're talking about defensive pillars, I think John Allen, Frankie Louvu, Mikey Sanders still, if he has another year like he just had, Marshawn Lattimore, if he can bounce back after a healthy offseason.
To be fair, Jonathan Allen's over 30 coming off an injury.
Is he over 30 already?
Yep.
Okay. I was thinking John Allen was like
fair.
27.
So we just have to be fair.
I was thinking he was like 27, 28.
And then
I didn't know he was 30
here's
already.
the thing. For starters coming back defensively next year, it's Payne, it's Allen, it's Louvu, it's Lattimore, it's Sanders still. Everybody else is gone. Well, okay, they're all free agents. I think he's a free agent too.
He wouldn't be. He was just in his second year.
Oh, yeah, okay.
He was
I
second,
looked at the
third
wrong
round
name.
pick.
But like They're guys who were huge impact guys. Bobby Wagner, Jeremy Chin. Both Noah Igbenogany and Benjamin St. Juste are probably gone.
Yeah, but Ben St. Juste is ass, dude.
He played all right for him this year, but like they have zero edge rushers. They have their corner room. Lattimore will see. Sandra still will see.
Right.
They're both kind of will see type guy. They don't have that much. And then again, of the playoff teams, by far the worst coaching situation. And that's not really a shot. I lied.
No, I think
The
Dan
Bills
Quinn might be a
exist.
better head coach than Todd Bowles.
The Bills exist. The Buccaneers
I forgot
exist.
the Bucks. I forgot the Bucks. Well, because I'm also thinking for the Bucks, I'm thinking their coordinator good, but he's gone.
We don't know yet.
Yeah, we don't know. My brain just
Dan
went.
Quinn
They
might
have
be a
Cohen.
better head coach than Dan Campbell.
That's
I
possible.
don't hate that take.
I don't hate that.
I
take.
don't hate that.
So,
That's not ridiculous. That's not ridiculous.
It's
to say.
not
let's be
ridiculous to
real.
say
Like,
that. It's not ridiculous to say that.
He's definitely not the worst head coach. And not Kingsbury is certainly not the worst offensive coordinator in this list. Arthur Smith is there, and
As much as I want him to be, he's not.
but he's not.
No, at least not right now.
So
We'll see.
I don't think they have the worst. I don't know who their DC is, but it doesn't matter because
It's Dan
Dan
It
Quinn's
doesn't
Quinn's
matter.
their head
Dan Quinn.
coach.
Yeah, their
So-
DC is DQ.
Yeah. So,
But, like-
yeah, no, I actually think they have like a top half of this list
Sure.
coaching situation.
So-
probably.
But like they're losing their
Yeah.
running backs. They have one receiver on the roster. I guess Luke
oh
McCaffrey's
no,
on the
they're
roster.
losing Austin Eckler. Oh,
But like their
done
run
for.
game
I
already
stumble
sucks.
every
They're
time.
losing Zach Ertz. Their offensive line is bad. Like they have
I
Biotish and
guarantee
Cosby.
you Zach Ertz stays.
I don't know.
He
Zach Ertz,
likes where he's at there.
the
If
issue
Zach Ertz
is
doesn't say they're fine, they have Ben Sinnott.
the
it's okay.
issue with that though.
But
just
also,
is
I think he'll
Zach
stay.
Ertz is 35. So like,
Yeah, even if he
Yeah.
retired,
He was still
I
really-
don't
he was
care. Ben
really
Sinnott
solid
fans
this
yeah,
year.
love-
no, he was really good.
Really solid this year.
But like,
Also,
I just
they're gonna. I think because like also if we're doing the future projection thing, I would be shocked if they don't come out of free agency of the trade deadline with a receiver behind McLaurin. That's like
Sure.
their biggest priority.
sure.
And also, I guarantee you, they are, if not the Lions, they are number one on the Myles Garrett list. Almost
See,
would
I
guarantee
think they're
you.
more likely for
Two.
Miles.
They
Garrett.
have them.
I
They have the
agree.
money. They have the assets. I think they're gonna end up with both him and like a Tyreek Hill, to be honest, or Cooper Kupp. Like they have the assets to make both of those things work.
Filler Muchball.
Yes.
The other thing on top of all this is something I feel like we haven't really mentioned because it hasn't really been like a huge factor yet, is how much faith we have in the general manager for these teams to make moves.
And the new ownership
What
is definitely.
What they did in one offseason
Yeah.
gives me so much faith about the next 10.
I mean,
It's
dude,
just-
yeah, they the new ownership built this team into from a 4-13 second overall pick team to a
To an NFC title
12-5 NFC title team. Like
They
one
way
year.
overachieved.
You're right, but I
1
just
year.
get worried because look at how many of those guys were 1 year deal free agents that worked. If that doesn't work next year, suddenly they're a 7-win team. Like,
Sure. And
Like,
again,
that
this is the
matters.
difference in the
Yeah.
positive versus the negative.
They also
That's
have the money to
all
bring
they
back
say.
most of those guys if they so choose.
Yeah.
sure,
And
I
that's
just
what
don't know
I'm
if you'd
meaning.
want to.
Especially- well, I'm thinking a lot of those guys are just Dan Quinn guys
Sure.
that came over with him from Dallas or some other stop. I think a lot of them probably will want to stick in Washington, even if it
Sure.
means taking a little bit less than maybe they
I
got
would want to
last
run
year.
it back
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Like, dude,
yeah.
Okay, listen.
Again, I'm just playing negative Nancy over here.
I don't want to say that a team has an it factor, but like the vibes that team had,
Yeah.
I don't know why you'd want to leave unless like Jeremy Chin gets offered a fucking,
He's
Antoine
probably gonna get a
Winfield
bag.
level contract.
It's
If he
hard
gets
to-
something insane, then go get your bag. And I
Right.
think they can replicate Jeremy Chin because you just need a versatile box safety type, and there's a lot of those now. They're pumping them out like
Yeah.
fucking rabbits at this point. Not to discredit Jeremy Chin, but it's more about the role for this kind of defense than it is the player themselves. And I
Yeah,
think that year
honestly,
made that very
like,
apparent.
I would find it if I was a free agent in Washington. I would find it pretty hard to jump a ship that's captained by Jaden Daniels. I don't think that there's.
Right, and that's the other thing.
I don't
like,
think
just-
there's any chance that. I mean, you have the young quarterback on a rookie deal. just Bobby Wagner, you can take a pay cut. Like it
Exactly.
doesn't matter. And they have a
Right.
ton of money. They're like top 5 in cap space, I think. So
Yeah,
Right.
they're
gonna be
number
A
3.
lot of money.
which is why
Yeah.
I would project them to probably go after some pretty key free
Yeah.
agents.
A lot of money, quarterback on a rookie contract, good coaches, a very so far great general manager.
Yeah.
Good quarterback.
Yeah.
I just seeing the amount of starters that they have to replace, or could have to replace, or are just bringing back guys
Right.
who, or like Dante Fowler. That feels like a one-hit wonder. I don't think he can replicate what he did. So it's like, it's just one of those things where it's like, when you have to replace 11 guys, the odds that you get better play than what you had scares me. It's just a numbers
Sure.
game, and the numbers game doesn't err in their
Well, if
favor,
they would've-
especially with like a sophomore slump type thing. Because even CJ Stroud, who we looked at and went, I don't know if he can go through a sophomore slump. Look at how much better the team got. He did. Like,
Right.
and if Jaden Daniels slumps a bit,
Then we will
Miller-
be so happy here on Run the
Miller,
North.
if you're gonna call me Mr. Moral Victory, can you at least say it to my face?
It was just while you were talking. I didn't want to interrupt
it was
you.
kind of
Is
funny.
because it was when I was like they held whatever they did.
When they
hold-
played the
okay,
Yeah,
Eagles.
you were- when you were
They
talking about
did
the
play
Eagles.
close. Whatever. They did that. Anyway, the
Any other
Vikings are
time
number
I would,
7.
but I didn't want to interrupt you because you
The
hadn't
Vikings are
talked
number
in a while.
7. We'll skip over number 6 because after
They are the
this, 'cause they're-
Chiefs.
That's the Chiefs, so we talked
Um,
endlessly about them, and I refuse to say anything.
One
else,
quick
so.
other thing about the Vikings, who is at number 7, is they still are top 7 in cap space.
Oh,
Yeah.
we don't have to skip over the Vikings. I'm saying we're skipping over the Chiefs.
I thought you were saying
after
we're skipping the Vikings. Oh, okay. I know we
did
talked
talk
about them a
about the
little
Vikings,
bit. We
though.
talked about their pillars. I just, like, the main thing, JJ's got to be something. And I
Yeah.
I think the situation is too good for him to not be, unless, like, knock on wood, he gets, like, hurt again. Like,
What if he just doesn't have it?
the issue is, talent-wise, I think you could argue he's the most talented guy KOC is going to have had. Between Darnold, Cuzzo, Dobbs, and Nick Mullins. Like,
I was gonna say the bar is on the floor,
right,
but an argument
look
can be
at
made.
how incredible Darnold and
Yeah.
Cuzzo were. And, like, he's a guy on a rookie deal. We have a lot of money. Like, again, if we're going to go, I want to go the pessimistic route still, because it's still the Vikings. Like, if they don't fix the interior O-line, that's a problem. And the defense
Right.
could take a step back. You're going to lose 3 starting corners probably. And then who knows where Harrison Smith goes. And I think there's a world where both Brian O'Neill and Andrew Van Ginkel get traded. Age and money issues. Andrew Van Ginkel's the one I feel kind of confident. There's a real good shot he gets traded. Last year of his deal,
Please.
I don't think you actually want that. The advanced
I do.
numbers say Dallas Turner's much better. In his limited reps. And Andrew Van Ginkel never beat Darnell Wright in a single rep. And Dallas Turner really did. So maybe you want us to keep Van Ginkel.
I was injured, Darnell.
He's got
right?
less juice. I
What? Wow, Dallas Turner's juicing, huh? Yeah. You heard it here, folks. The Minnesota Vikings
you are in.
give their defensive
What are-
players
all right, man.
steroids.
I mean,
You heard it, right, Jake?
Kyle
heard
Juszczyk
it.
just is steroids then, because you just call him juice. So he just is steroids.
He's so good that he is the steroid.
All right, man.
Doesn't mean
When people
he
are
takes them.
injecting steroids, it's Kyle Juszczyk
I
straight
don't
into their
like-
bloodstream.
that we can never be serious when talking about only my team.
Because it's like we told your mom.
Maybe just cheer for a
Thank you
serious
the
team.
content.
I don't want
We
the
boo you
Packers
for the
fan to speak
content.
on serious teams.
We're a serious team. Serious teams win Super Bowls, buddy. We got 4 of them. Even he's got one.
Yeah.
Okay, man.
Serious teams win championships, pal.
Okay, so we need to move the
Yeah.
Bills down a lot farther.
Anyway, 6 is the Chiefs. We had talked about them. Our number 5 consensus team.
Hold on, Geek. Did you have anything else to say about
It
the Vikings?
doesn't matter. We're fine.
I thought you were done.
Nope.
Are you not done?
It's fine. Number
Oh.
5. I
Well,
don't
no,
care
if you
anymore.
weren't
Nope.
done.
You
can
guys
continue.
ended the
I
conversation
thought
by
you were
jokes
done.
and then moving on, so we can move on.
I
don't care.
I
don't care, just
genuinely
move
thought
on.
you were done.
No, it's fine. but just let's go because we
I never
have
said
taken a
we
lot
had the
of time.
Vikings.
Okay.
It's fine.
I was the Texans.
I suddenly like their future a little less looking at their current cap situation.
Yeah.
It's
We had them
not
at two,
ideal
pal.
because they're
Yeah,
losing
so.
some pieces too.
Yeah. What's their free agent outlook?
Currently they have negative money.
Right.
And
Who
then
leaving?
yeah, I'm looking. I got to switch from the Commanders. I was a little distracted. Because I didn't need to look at the list for Minnesota. Houston's losing Diggs, Jeff Okudah, Robert Woods, Fadukasi, the defensive end.
Yeah.
They're losing Jerry Hughes, Neville Hewitt, Derek Barnett, and then a bunch of just backups after that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, like, your receiver room struggled to exist, and you're losing two of your top four guys.
Yeah.
I think John Mechie can step up, but even then, you are probably going to be without Tank Dell next year. And who knows how long after that. That injury is terrifying.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. They're also weirdly old.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say your two best offensive linemen are both 30 or older.
And bad.
Joe Mixon's not getting any younger.
Tunsil
He's hitting
sucked.
that point.
I don't know what happened. I'm sorry. But Tunsil was
Yeah.
Their
awful.
two best offensive linemen are bad.
Yeah.
They're not even good offensive linemen anymore. Like
Yeah.
they got toasted.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, Mixon's hitting that he's hitting that time in a running back's life where you either hit a wall or become Derrick Henry, and I don't think Joe Mixon is Derrick Henry.
I think he'll be okay next year.
Yeah.
I think he'll be okay next year, but
I
again,
don't
we're
see it
talking about the
fall
next
off.
5 years.
Right.
Um,
They just don't have as many, like, again, going to the building blocks thing. Their building blocks are weird.
like offensively, Stroud and Nico,
Yeah, that's it. No one you can
And
even
then
argue
defensively-
outside of that.
and then defensively, you have a lot, but like you said, with the cap situation, it's hard to put pieces around them.
Right.
And we saw last year this team is only going to go as far as this offense is going to get them. And hopefully now that Slowick's out of the building, things will be better for Stroud and company, which is why they're so high.
The good thing about their defense is they're so cheap. Like
They're cheap, they're young.
Even
Stingley's on
Daniil
a
Hunter
rookie
costs
deal.
nothing.
Lasser's on a rookie
Yeah.
deal. I'm almost positive Petrie hasn't gotten a second contract
no.
yet.
Will Anderson's on a rookie deal.
Will Anderson's rookie deal. Daniil Hunter, I'm not sure how much they're paying him, but
Toa
like
Toa and
22,
Christian
I
Harris
think.
on rookie
Yeah,
deals,
Toa
excuse me.
and Christian Harris are both rookie deals. Their defense is super. Not that that means anything because they still don't have money, but their defense
Right.
is
But it
really
helps that
good.
you don't
but
have
also
to fix
super
the
cheap.
defense.
Right. But what is concerning though is because they're all young, here in 3 years they're all going to come due at the same
Right.
time, which is why
Yeah,
they like number one,
that's
number
not-
two, number three.
You're going to pick,
That's not,
and it's kind of obvious who
ideal.
they're going to pick because you have to. It's going to be Stingley
Sure.
and Will Anderson. Like, it has to be.
Yeah.
Lassiter's definitely up on the priority list too.
Yeah.
If he keeps
Luckily,
playing like he
Lassiter's got a
did.
couple years on those two.
Right.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's like I don't know. But
Petrie's got to be
I-
up for it soon.
yeah, I
Yeah.
like the Texans for like the next 3 years
Yeah.
a lot, but
Yeah.
after that it becomes murky. Because
Yeah.
then too, you have to worry about paying Stroud,
Yep.
and that's when things get really murky.
And with all the pieces, like if they don't think about the future with Stroud, suddenly you have no money for Stroud and Stroud leaves for somewhere else. I
Right.
could see it.
So
Like there's a
in the
world.
immediate, right. So in the immediate future, things look good for the Texans.
Yeah.
Assuming forget who
Hello,
they hired
Cleaver.
to be their offensive coordinator. I want to say it was someone from Miami.
I have no idea.
Texas Nick Caley, who is
No, Nick Cayley was the Rams guy.
Rams
McVay loves him. McVay
yeah,
loves
Rams
him.
tight ends coach. So he's another one of these tight ends coaches, is what it is. He's another one of those, and we know that's the meta now. Tight ends coaches.
Apparently, and McVay really loved him.
Right. So
assuming that means he's
hopefully
good.
things will turn around and the Texans will be what we thought they were going to be this past year,
Yeah.
which is arguably the best team in the AFC. But when you look at a guy like Geek mentioned, Tank Dell's health, the age, the money that's going to need to be paid out here in 3 years.
And then you have to fix that offensive line, because if the offensive line exists like it did this year, you go nowhere. Stroud die.
Right.
That's just how it is.
Yeah.
I'm
A number 14.
I think
if we're not done, are we done?
I'm done, other than I think just talking it out, I'm significantly lower on the Texans than I was when I made this list.
You had them at number 2.
Because my brain goes young quarterback, young receiver, young edge rusher, young corner. They've got the correct building blocks. Because having a running back as a building block is fine, but that's normally not where the 4 big positions are quarterback, receiver, tackle, corner, edge, and it's like they've got 4 of the 5 locked down. But then it's like you look at the money, you look at everything else, and it's suddenly a lot darker.
Yeah. That's not to say that we're pessimistic about the Texans, though.
No.
Just to make that clear. Because I know we focus a little bit more on the negatives with this, but that's just because the positives are so glaringly obvious.
Yeah.
Like, you read the names on the depth chart, and it's like, oh, yes, I see why we should be optimistic about the Texans.
What do the Texans got going for them? A lot.
Yeah.
Number 14 is the reigning MVP and the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah. So
I don't know, dude. They have Josh Allen.
that's the big thing.
just,
they have Josh.
They don't have a good coaching situation. McDermott stinks. I think he needs to go. But Keon Coleman's a nice piece. Khalil Shakir turned out to be a nice piece. James Cook is a stud. The defense is
they have pieces
defense
really
is something. Enfield is good. Ed Oliver and Greg Rousseau are both really good.
Yeah. This is
Kyrie Elam stinks, unfortunately. He was supposed to work out for them, but he sucks. But overall, and their offensive line isn't bad.
Yeah, this is a team where I think you look at the building blocks and you really get sold. Like, obviously, offensively, Josh, James Cook, Khalil Shakir, Deion Dawkins and Spencer Brown, I would just say combined are one, because they are an awesome tackle tandem. Even if you don't want to say they're a building block, they're still just really
I was
fun.
just thinking of Deion Dawkins being old. Spencer Brown's only like 26.
Yeah, so
he's a block. Deion Dawkins, scary.
Well, either way, Spencer Brown was one of the best right tackles in football this year, and Deion Dawkins is damn good. And then you look defensively, Greg Rousseau, I am a massive fan of, I think, is a defensive building block. Yes, Geek.
But we have to lower the Bills. Reggie Gilliam's a free agent.
He's
not bringing
back.
him back.
Doesn't
use him. He's not coming back.
Not true.
Special teams,
and last back half of the year, they used Reggie Gilliam substantially more than they did the front half and through the playoffs. Like, as the year went on, Gilliam saw the field more. Bills like Gilliam. But, no, defensively, Greg Rousseau, Ed Oliver, Christian Benford, and Teron Johnson is like your 4 building blocks. Fantastic. 2 defensive linemen, 2 corners. That's great. And then some of the other pieces here. AJ Epinesa is a very, very solid defensive lineman. Terrell Bernard has played really well for them. You look at the safety room, Cole Bishop is someone I'm really excited to see the development of. Obviously, Matt Milano's still with the team. How long, or for how long, we don't know, but we'll see. And then, other offensive pieces. Keon Coleman is another guy like Cole Bishop, very exciting projection. I'm really excited to see what Cedric Van Pran's going to turn into. Dawson Knox is a very solid tight end. Dalton Kincaid is a very solid tight end. They have the pieces. Ty Johnson, one of the better,
I'm concerned because they're not losing that many pieces this year. They also have no money. None.
Yeah.
They have negative money for the next 3 years.
Oh, yeah.
That's not good at all.
No, but when you have an MVP level quarterback who's one of the 3 best in the league, you have good young pieces around him.
Sure.
And the Bills aren't a bad drafting team. I have faith in their team in the draft.
I don't know. I do, but I don't. They're weird in the draft. They're weird.
Because I remember liking their draft class this year.
Who was this year? It would have been Keon. Would have been Cedric Van Pran, Granger,
Dwayne Carter, Ray Davis, Cedric Van Granger, Edafon Ulafosio, Javon Solomon, Tylen Grable, Daquan Hardy, Travis Clayton. So Coleman, Bishop, Davis, Granger, and Ulafosio were guys that I liked.
Yeah.
Carter, I didn't love, but I see his role very clearly with Buffalo in hindsight. So I don't hate that pick. Last year, Kincaid, Torrance, Williams, those three are that's a really nice 3 run. I don't know. Was Torrance good this year? I honestly don't.
I don't know actually. I have no clue.
Yes.
And who was why can I
The year before that was Elam, Cook, Bernard, Shakir as your top 4 picks. And you hit on 3 of those. You also got Benford in the 6th that year, which was a good pick.
But it's just
Yep.
like I trust them. I just also kind of don't. I don't know. They're weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the big issue for me is no money, bad coach, bad combo.
Yeah.
Not a great combo, for sure.
No.
I have to refrain from talking too much about Sean McDermott, I do fear.
Yeah.
I don't.
Internet-
I'm not afraid of the internet. The internet does
Number
not like our
3
take on him, I guess. Even though we're just proven right.
Number 3 on our list is the team that Josh Allen's Bills beat in the playoffs, the Baltimore Ravens.
Interesting. I don't know.
Who's that make number 2?
Yeah, wait,
Am I-
what? My brain?
If Man is number 2.
Oh,
okay,
yeah, okay.
never mind. That excites me. Okay, so yeah, Baltimore. I mean, 2-time MVP, and Lamar Jackson. Derrick Henry just had a huge year.
Isaiah Likely, Rashad Bateman breakout, Dave Flowers,
Yeah.
Kyle Hamilton, Roquan
Offensive
Smith.
line has some really nice pieces. Defense has a lot of really nice pieces. Nnamdi Madubuike is locked up. Nate Wiggins looked great this year.
Pat Ricard and Ronnie Stanley are the only big pieces they're looking at losing. And Ronnie Stanley has sucked for 2 years.
And Ricard will be coming back.
Yeah,
They will
100%.
resign Patrick Ricard.
And Ricard, it won't be expensive.
No,
They don't
that's
pay
not.
Yeah, the
him.
Ravens have a good coaching staff. Didn't lose Monken.
Yeah, that's huge. Not losing Todd Monken. No, you'll probably have to worry about that next year.
Yeah.
But
not
I mean,
losing Ted Monken this year.
they-
though.
Not. I could actually see this being the team where they move on from their head coach for the OC if they struggle again.
Well, Todd Monken falls into the category of old. Nobody wants to hire him as a head coach.
how old
He's
is Todd
old.
Monken?
He's old. He's older. He's not like
know
one of the
he's
young.
old.
No, he's
innovative
59.
minds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
A lot of the reason why people don't hire guys like that is because they're not the young,
Yeah.
intuitive, innovative guys, which is probably why he won't get hired as a head coach.
Yeah.
I don't know
yeah.
I don't know if that's his goal, but I would stay in Baltimore.
Yeah,
But yeah. Long story short, I don't think we have to spend too much time on Baltimore.
No, because
No.
they're just not really
I think
losing
they're set,
anybody. They
yeah.
still have. They don't have negative money, which means they're gonna move some stuff around and be able to still
Yeah.
add a piece.
Mhm.
And you have a 2-time MVP.
And
Yep, they'll be fine.
your team is really, really good at drafting.
Yeah.
They
2-time MVP, great pillars, really good at drafting.
Yeah.
The only worry is I'm never gonna buy into the Lamar can't win in the playoffs narratives because I think that's just silly.
I mean, he literally
especially
drove them down the field to win the game.
right,
And then Mark Andrews sold.
right.
Never forgive him.
Especially when it took Peyton as long as it did.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
care.
Like we said, our number 2 team. Well, our number 1 team, I guess, is the Eagles. We won't
Which
talk
we all
about them.
know.
We already talked about.
yeah.
But so we won't discuss them. But number 2 is the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yes.
So happy. Makes me happy. I love
They ended up at 2.
I think I put them at. Did I put the Texans at 2?
You put the Texans at
Okay.
2.
He came up at 3. I had him at 6. Miller had him at 2.
Okay.
How
They
does
ended up
that
at 2.
average out to 2?
I ended up not doing averages because a lot of the averages would just worked out to be the same number. So I did it. So I did it by what we lean towards,
Gotcha.
which is basically would have been like 2.
Okay. But yeah, like you look at the Chargers, Justin Herbert, I don't give a fuck what anyone says, top 4 quarterback in the NFL. It's Mahomes, it's Lamar, it's Josh, and it's Herbert.
Listen, bro, hey, having to throw to Quentin Johnson and Josh Palmer against that Texans defense,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's over. I
Quentin
mean,
Johnston
Ladd
can be a
McConkey's
good
there,
piece, but
and Ladd McConkey was
Right.
good in that game, but like you gotta rely on somebody else to make a play other than Ladd, and Quentin Johnson can catch, and Josh Palmer is just I don't know, he's Josh Palmer. They don't have a tight end.
I was gonna say Will
Like, still,
Disley is like
the weapons
fine,
aren't great,
but-
man. They still aren't there. I know everybody wants to call him the if man, but
Yeah.
the if hasn't been satisfied yet.
No.
Right.
Like we keep saying if he had weapons, but they still haven't given him weapons other than that. So
Right.
Right. So
that's why
you
the
have
if is
this
still there.
You have this incredible quarterback. You have a proven head coach in Jim
Yep.
Harbaugh.
No question
know
about the head
he's a winner.
coach.
We saw what he did in his first year.
Jesse Minter is great.
Minter is incredible. There's a lot of pieces on defense to get excited about. Diane Henley rocked. Derwin is obviously still a very good football player. Aloha Gilman is a very solid football player. You look at some of the younger guys like Tarheeb still excites me. Cam Hart excites me. Tuli Tuipulotu has been very, very solid. Junior Colson is only going to get better. Back on offense, obviously, you have your bookend tackles and Rashawn
I
Slater.
was gonna
and
say
Joe
top
Alt.
3 tackle duo in the
Yeah.
league.
Realistically, you fill out the interior. The only thing that kind of scares me about this team is the edge rushers because of Mac being a free agent and Joey Bosa being unable to stay healthy. But I trust Jim Harbaugh and Jesse Minter to cook up something.
So
For sure.
I mean, Mac's a big free agent, but he's not a future guy. You know, he's
Sure.
not a building block. He's 34. I
Right.
think the only building block type guy you might lose is Asante Samuel, and you could just re-sign him or just let him go. He's good, but he hasn't been great. He's not a.
Sure.
You have to bring him back. It's at the right price, sure.
Yeah.
But the big
then,
thing for me with this team is they have the 5th most cap space with the quarterback, with these
Yeah.
people. Like, free agents are going to go, I can go play with Herbert and Harbaugh. Yeah. Like, this is the Commanders, but like a better landing spot.
This is the Commanders, but proven.
Yes.
That's what this is.
Yep.
Especially because Herbert's paid.
Yeah.
This isn't like we're waiting to pay Herbert. Herbert's paid, and you still have top 5 cap space.
Yeah, they have the
And
2nd most next year.
Yeah, with a championship level head coach, with your top draft capital, you have the pillars. You just need to work on the edge rushers a little bit. You need to get Ladd some help out there as a pass catcher, and you need to improve the interior of the offensive line.
Yeah.
As much as I want him in Chicago, Trey Smith,
Yeah.
be a huge pickup for them.
I'm sure he
Or
would be.
even
Yeah.
going like maybe the cheaper route for them and just getting guys. If you keep Bozeman, it's a little weird, but I gotta look at the free agent list. again.
It's a good guard class draft wise too. So
That too.
Is it?
they can very easily go out and get Tyler Booker in the first round and be happy with that.
Yeah.
Very true.
So yeah, and then obviously we had the Eagles at 1, but we talked about them. We know what they are. A near perfect roster at every position. Super Bowl champions, only up from here. Young guys developing. Yeah, I did nothing
And
else to
Hurts
say
is
about
already
them.
paid.
And Hurts is already paid. So there's that. And they have. I guess I don't know who they're going to get to replace Kellen Moore now that he's the Saints head coach, but
Yeah, oh man,
The-
we'll see.
I don't
Miller
feel
football.
like that's a big task.
The wing tee. The Eagles are running the wing tee with Kari and Saquon next year.
Tell me it wouldn't be cinema, dude.
It would be. It would work. It would work for like a week, and then people will start to
No.
catch on. I think, but it
I mean, the Eagles already ran a run-heavy one-read offense,
true.
anyways.
Yeah,
What,
might as well
what's
just-
doing the same thing but moving guys around a little bit gonna change?
True. Well, I believe that is all we got for you guys today. Yeah, we did quick ball, right? Yeah, we did quick ball.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
early. Sweet. All right. Well, that is our show then. I want to thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Run the North podcast. If you did enjoy it, leave us a rating and a review if you listen on Spotify. Like, comment, subscribe. If you're watching over on YouTube, we will see you guys next time.
Bye.